So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Messenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
A certain company claims that good things come to those who wait. We apologize, but we are here, finally, live for the GT iRacing World Championship presented by Virtual Racing School here from Road Atlanta. And well, we have missed a bit of the action. We do apologize profusely for that, for reasons outside of our control. But we've got Paul Smith, Connie Maddock will have Randy Chenoweth later on here for this one. And the first couple of laps have been entertaining, to say the least. I'm going to take it over now to Paul and Connery as they give you live coverage.
Yeah, wow. Well, yeah, it's been a hectic one on track and off track as well. The important thing to know is that the FA Racing G2 Logitech G team are in the lead of this one. Freddie Rasmussen 3.4 seconds ahead of second place TTL Esports GT with Joshua Rogers behind the wheel there. They're a further 3.5 seconds ahead of Pure Racing Team Red with Max Benecke, who was able to finally make a move past the VRS Coanda SimSpot car of Mitchell de Jong. Team 33 have made their way past Mitchell de Jong as well, with Keiko Shube behind the wheel for them. So that's meaning that de Jong has dropped down the field. Pure Racing Team Black have just had an issue in the S's, and that's coming out of turn number 3. Getting on the curb, sends the car around, and that means that they have gone into the wall there as well. We've got a replay up on screen, and yeah, they just caught the curb there on the right, carried a little bit too much speed, and they caught the wall just ever so slightly. A little bit of damage to the front left of that car. Just to run out the rest of your top 10, you've got Simicube Inex Racing Red in their Ferrari, Alexei Alima with the Simicube Inex Racing Yellow. PJ Sturgis actually falling behind their teammates there in 7th place, with Robin Esterson in the Vendeville Sim Racing Blue car 8th. Euphoria Racing GT in 9th with Augustin Canapino, and VRS Trans-Tasman Racing, Jared Filsell rounding out the top 10 of your field, and oh my word, Simicube Inex Racing Red into the wall there. Well, I'm sure we'll get a look at that again, because that was quite the show there. We've got the replay coming up on screen, and we'll have a look at that one. We're on board, so head through the S's. Alexei using the curbs, as you see, through that left into turn number 5. Tricky corner, this one. It's going to be catching a lot of people out there, and he just hits the wall there on the side over the curbs, and well, he'll have damage there. The question is how much damage there, Will.
I'll tell you one thing, that is the second time we've seen a driver have an issue at turn number 5. In terms of the Petit Le Mans, of course, you get yourself the GT3s, you get yourself the prototypes, but what I will say is that the wind conditions and the track conditions right now, it is getting drivers to try and push the boundaries of what they can do, but as Alexia Loma is surely going to pass here by PRT's blue car of Jonas Wallmeyer down into the chicane, and that is going to be a pass to a position. It just seems to me that people are being too aggressive through 5 right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're really bouncing the cars off of these curbs, and if there's one thing that we've learnt throughout this season here, is that those Audis, they don't like the curbs too much, and it's quite easy to unsettle the car, and hopefully Connery is able to join us now, because certainly we've seen these cars hitting those curbs and losing control, and well, Connery, these Audis, they don't like it at all.
Yeah, if you're driving an Audi in iRacing, well, you got to really avoid those curbs. It's like driving one of those old Ford GTs as well. That's another car that really doesn't like the curbs. So it's just something that the Audis will have to struggle with at this moment in time. But it's an Audi leading the race, an Audi P2 and Audi P3 at the moment. So obviously not too much of an issue for them around this circuit.
Yeah, certainly not, as we're getting into the swing of things, almost half an hour into the race here. We've seen a number of cars dropping out this race already. Odox Motorsports, Jesus Cecilia, they were the first ones to, I don't even think they took the start there. Williams Jim Jr. White, they had a big issue at the start of the race. They are out of the race. Core Sim Racing Silver, they're out as well. Williams Jim Jr. Pink, they had a spin at turn number 3, got caught up with a few other cars. They spent 15 minutes in the pits and they're back out onto track, but they're 8 laps down on the car in front, 11 laps down on the race leader. And Pure Racing Team Black, we saw them have that spin at turn number 3, get into the wall. They're on pit road at the moment and they're still sitting there, so getting repairs done to that car. And well, we can all calm down and take a breath now. It's really hot action on track here. Don't forget, get social with us. Give us your thoughts on what's going on in this race. Use the hashtag iRacingWCS and tweet to RealVRS. Also ourselves here at Racebot TV. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook. And I should hope that also we've got live timing available here. If although knowing our luck, that'll break today as well with how this has been. But yeah, looking at Jared Filsell here. In 9th place, Euphoria Racing in front of him, and Connery, just talk us through this track, because it's a really, I've touched on it a little earlier, it's a track of contrasting styles. First half, relatively twisty and slow, and then you've got the high-speed second half of the lap.
Yes, you do, as well, just going with Jared Filsell, heading his way through the double right-hander right in the middle of the lap here. Not all that much in terms of overtaking moves, but the thing is, you need to maximize at this exit right here, all the way down this very long back straight. This is where you can see cars sitting in the slipstreams now, setting up for a move down towards the inside, coming down into the heavy braking zone of the final chicane of that. We might see Fiora Racing go for a move here. They can close up, but nope, they're just going to stay behind for now. Early stages of the race, no point in going for some risky moves. Following their way through the final chicane under the Suzuki bridge, and now this is a very treacherous section. It looks pretty easy with the downhill and then right-hander, but the thing is, that track is very bumpy indeed coming through there. We've seen some many cars over the years upset by the bumps coming through there, and we've seen some unfortunate accidents as well. But heading up through towards turn number 1, through now the blind section of the racetrack, there's a curve there, but we're going to look at VRS car and the Simsport right now. They're coming down through the S's section, up through the very treacherous now turn 5 as well. This is another accident zone, if you want to call it, but Michel de Jong negotiates that one very well.
And of course, we've got to remember, these are the best GT racers here on iRacing and in all of sim racing. And these guys, they're really pushing these cars to the limit. They're going absolute hammer and tongs at the limit of adhesion as they go down the back straight. De Jong started this race off in 3rd place, has dropped down 2 positions. He seems to have struggled a little bit with overall pace around this track compared to Beneke and Kashube, but Honda SimSport maybe setting up the car just a little bit differently to others here, Will, and maybe it's something that will maybe pay off in the second half of a stint.
One of the things that's worth noting about this race here today is that the drivers have got a very big variability in what they can do in terms of pit road. So having a look on board with Richard de Jong right now. Now, de Jong is a driver that lost a lot at the start of this race, and he's involved in battles with Kate Kashube, who is currently 0.6 of a second ahead of him. But I would say that this track, this race even, will be won partially on pit road, but also, Paul, will be won down to the drivers that know when to come in towards pit road. Go on.
Van Devel Sim Racing Yellow, they've had issues. They're currently trying to turn that car around, and that was in turn 1. Back end went in a little bit too hot into turn 1 there for the number 13 machine, and Hayden Burns, around he goes, tries to get going again, as we'll see on the replay, and that's put that number 13 car all the way down to 32nd in this field now. So Van Devel are not having the best of times here. Their blue team in 7th place. You would imagine, Connor, they're one of the stronger endurance teams here on iRacing, but they're just not quite with the pace here. As also just worth noting that Pure Racing Team Red are gaining on TTL Esports.
Yes, they are. Looks like if we look at the lap time, Joshua Rogers for TTL Esports, 1:17.5 that last time by, a 1:17.4 though for Maximilian Beneke and that Pure Racing Team Red machine. So PRT Red closing in, and that is, well, if you're the car in front, that is definitely what you do not want to hear. Beneke is closing in, one of the best drivers on this iRacing service, the only driver so far to hit 10k I rating on the service. The only other person to do that on the oval side at least is Ty Majeski, but Beneke now on the charge, qualified P number 4 in P number 3 right now, so podium position for Beneke and Pure Racing Team Red at the moment, but he'll definitely be looking for more.
And this is it, as we'll have a look at the championship as well. Pure Racing Team Red are leading this one, 298 points to 272 against that Coanda SimSport number 8 car. So really, they're ahead of their immediate championship rivals here, as we've got a little bit of action further back as well with Inex Yellow, Van Devel Sim Racing Blue and Euphoria Racing. But those two at the front, Pure Racing Team in this more solid position here. Team 33 as well involved in that one. That's your main 3 contenders. Early favourites for the championship, and they were doing well early in the season, was FA Racing G2. But the last couple of rounds, Connery, they've had some big incidents and big moments that have cost them majorly in this championship contention.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go all the way down to 6th place to find FA Racing G2 Logitech G, 198 points, exactly 100 points behind your championship leader in Pure Racing Team Red right now. But they're doing all they need to do at the moment for this race, at least. Leading from the front, 6.3 seconds was the gap the last time by that Freddie Rasmussen has managed to pull out over the last 40 minutes or so. So fantastic drive for him so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's hard to think that they've yet to win a race this season as well. You know, they showed early promise around Sebring and also around Bathurst as well. As I say, those couple of issues in these last 2 rounds have cost them dearly in that championship contention. Trans-Tasman, VRS Trans-Tasman, and also Radicals battling away, and here comes the Dream Factory. They're trying to get a move on the exit of that chicane, trying to get the run on that Radicals. BMW in front here, Jared Filsell looking dangerous, trying to get past here, not going to make it past for the time being. White Gooden keeping ahead there, and that's all because Radicals made the move down the inside into the chicane but weren't able to get the job done there, Connery, and that meant that they've come under pressure from behind. That just shows the difficulty in trying to make a move on the car in front when you've got a car close behind.
It does also mean that they've lost time to the cars ahead on the order of about 0.8 of a second to the group ahead of Euphoria, Vendaval, and Sim Next Racing Yellow. So that is, the punishment for not completing a move when it is on the cars. You just lose so much time by going side by side, especially at a track like Road Atlanta, though, with the S's section. If you go side by side through there, you're losing seconds a lap.
Absolutely. Down the back straight you go. You've got two battles of three going on here. You've got that battle for 6th place, and then you've got that battle for 9th place as well. That's again hard onto the brakes. That BMW I mentioned earlier, really good on the brakes around here, but when it's got a lower top speed, well, than the cars that it's racing against, it's got to be good just on the brakes just to keep up with them.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about this championship is that you basically take a car and you're stuck with it for the entire season. So no switching between the BMWs and the Audis and the Ferraris or Ford GTs or anything else. You pick your car, you race with it. And that means that every single race, these drivers have got to deal with different circumstances. In some races, they're going to be faster in acceleration zones. In some races, they are going to be struggling in the same way. And what I really like to see is the fact that these drivers have got to learn to adapt to a race car rather than being in a situation where it's like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing.
So as we head on towards, we're past the half-hour point already in this race. 21 minutes remaining in this one, and Kashube has actually been gaining a little bit on that Pure Racing Team Red car, and Pure Racing Team Red have just gone off the pace a little bit, 0.3 slower on that last lap than the car in front of them, Joshua Rogers, and they're also about 0.3 slower than the car behind them, Kashube. So 3 cars all of a sudden. That battle for 3rd place not over yet here, Connery, and really looking at De Jong, he's been sat in the slipstream for quite a while now. He's saving himself a little bit of fuel here.
Yeah, I think so too, and that will definitely help him when it comes to the pit stop strategies. You see both the Team 33 car and the VRS car and Sensible car run a little bit wide there coming through turn number 5. That is usual, but the thing is, you can't run too wide there. It's very, very bumpy out there, as is the case with quite a few of these corners at Road Atlanta. But Kashube struggling a little bit to get on the power coming out of turn number 7 there, but I don't think it's going to result in any threats right now from Mitchell de Jong in that number 8 machine. But just watching these laps tick by, though, is so interesting, seeing these gaps fluctuate. And P2, 3, 4, 5, and down to 5, they haven't really lost track of each other. It's just Freddie that has just gone off at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. That FA Racing car, the only car to go into the 16s in this race, a 16.98 is the fastest lap of the race. Kashube just set the fastest lap of those cars in that group. Just actually, no, it's going to be De Jong sets the fastest lap of those cars in this little group here. So they're just ebbing and flowing here in this one at the moment as they carry on that battle. So, talking about carrying on battles as well, Wyatt Gooden, he can't. Jared Philsell can't get rid of him at the moment here as they go into the S's. This is the battle for 9th and 10th place. That's about a couple of tenths between them, and these two just showing the differences in the cars as we go on board with Wyatt Gooden. Look at all the work he's having to put into the steering wheel there, Will, in the exit of turn 5, and that's cost him a good couple of tenths there, just going over those bumps.
Yeah, indeed so. And of course, Gooden right now in that BMW USA on the right hand side of your screen, we've got the speedometer going up for you. And one of the things about this BMW is it can be, if you tune it perfectly, an all-round car, but Gooden there does not gain more than about half a tenth of a second in towards the chicane. And as a consequence of that, he remains in P number 10.
Certainly does. and coming onto the back of them actually, Black Star Racing. So that trio is becoming a four-way now, and Bardal with Bruno De Carmo is not that far behind them either. So these two at the front of this queue slowing each other up, and it's bringing others into this battle here. And if you're not too careful, all of a sudden you can have a queue of cars and one little mistake, Connery, and you could be freight trained down the field. As well, I'm sure yourself and myself have learnt in the past around here.
Yeah, I definitely have. You just got to look at the lap times, though. Trans-Tasman and Radicals Online both doing 17.7s, whereas Dream Factory in that car third in line, 17.5 that last time by. So that is how much those two cars at the front are slowing each other up, 0.2 of a second a lap. Let's see if that trend continues, though, as they head their way through turn number 7, set themselves up for the run. You can just see some of these cars, they do get so very squirrely on their exit as they try to apply the power to the tarmac. It's just... So for some of them, it's not really working that well.
Certainly isn't, and Gooden looking in a good position here. He's been gaining on the slipstream here, headed down towards the chicane once again, hard onto the brakes then. Not able to make any moves yet. Having to just sit behind. Now, if you're like Gooden here, if you believe that you've got the faster car, you need to make the move here. If you don't think that you're that quick or that much quicker than the car in front, you can afford to sit behind to save a bit of fuel. But when you've got a queue of cars forming up behind you like a Sunday driver on a country road, well, you start getting a little bit itchy and a little bit trigger happy, Connery, and you start making a few lunges.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where accidents can and they indeed do happen in both the real world and in sim racing as well. But Dream Factory, they have all to gain from this now if they can catch the two cars ahead off guard while they're trying to fight. There's also Black Star Racing and Bardal Sim Racing now on the back of this train, so it's a train from P number 9 all the way down towards P number 13, and we may even see Inex and PRT Blue join this train in the not too distant future.
Yep, certainly are, as down that back straight once again they go. Looking into that braking zone, Wyatt Gooden just not getting close enough here, so he's not going to be making any moves. And these guys just holding position for the time being. By the way, Mitchell de Jong has been gaining on Kei Kashube. He's now within half a second of that Team 33 car, on board with de Jong. We've seen his exploits in Rallycross, and he's doing a good job here in that Audi for VRS Quad and Sim Sport. Into turn 5 once again. Look at the different lines that they take, the wider line taken from the Audi there. It's a little bit riskier, there's more bumps over there, but you can carry the speed there. Through the right-hander at 6 into 7. 8 and 9. Now you see, it's a typical American track here. I don't count 8 and 9 here, because that's 8 right there, that little curve then. And then as you go through and start going downhill through the curve towards the chicane, that's turn 9. As Pure Racing Team as well, they're only half a second in front of these two, so it's a three-way battle for the final step of the podium. Beneke, not a good lap this lap so far, Connery.
Not a good lap at all. It looks, let's see what the damage is as they come across the line for what's going to be the 35th time in this event. 1:18 lap from Beneke. That is very, very poor indeed. He lost half a second to Team 33 on that lap, half a second to VRS Commander Simsport as well. So Beneke's in real danger here.
Oh, we've got drama going on in that battle for 9th place, and also for 10th place, VRS Trans-Tasman getting bullied a little bit here from Dream Factory. Radicals finally made the move into the chicane. They finally got through, and that's just brought this gaggle of cars really together here. They're all battling it out for that 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th positions. But I tell you what, I think Jared Filsell got lucky with that one, and he could have lost a few more positions with the move that Dream Factory made into turn 1 there, Connery.
Yeah, on board with Dream Factory as well, as Diego Catalan tries to wheel that car around turn 6 and 7, but gets a little bit of a slide on in the middle of that complex. Will compromise his run down towards the chicane. But looking at Phil Sell now, does he have a chance to reply on Gooden coming down into the chicane? I don't think so. He's a little bit too far back in terms of that one. Potential lunge, defense of the inside line almost there from Gooden anyway, so he knows that Phil Sell, he could potentially dive down the inside if he wanted to, but following close they go up through the Suzuki, under the Suzuki bridge now. Phil Sell wanting this position back, but I don't really think his car has the pace at this moment in time. Across the line they will go, and Dream Factory and Black Star Racing, they've just dropped back off the back a little bit here, so a little bit of a spark of a fight, but it's calmed down again.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've got to be careful not to get involved in any shenanigans. We've seen what's happened if you get involved and start roughing each other up, and it costs you big time around here. Such a short track, as we've been saying, just 2.5 miles around this course, 12 corners, undulation changes. This is one of the things I do love about this track, is that all too often we see very flat tracks, and yet here such undulation changes. Even just down this back straight, we go up a little bit underneath the Mazda bridge there, flattens out a little bit, and then we dive downhill towards the chicane as we're on board here with the Ferrari at Jared Vilsell. He's having to go defensive here because the Dream Factory, they're going to look to the inside here of the chicane, down the inside, go Dream Factory, there they are, look at them appear on screen there, through they go, they're not going to get the run out the corner. Vilsell gets the cut back there, he's looking to the inside, you can see how he has to correct the car as they go down the hill, and Vilsell loses another position here, and now he's got to go defensive. He's going attacking and defensive because Black Star Racing, Kim Eriksson, are right behind there, Connery, as we'll look at that move again.
Yeah, still hunting for that move, though, up towards turn number 3, but going to back out of that one, following very closely now through the S's. No potential overtaking opportunities here. Going to have to wait until exit turn 5 into turn number 6 now, if anything is going to happen with this very, very close train. Of course, through turn number 5, they will go up over the curbs. They will go. Here comes the run, though, for Bardal Sim Racing on Black Star Racing. They got fantastic exit out of 5 on the inside at turn number 6. It will have to be for Takamo, and that battle will actually not continue to 7 because Takamo gets the position.
It's not too often you actually see a move made into turn number 6, is it, Connery? So that's quite a brave move there from the Brazilian Bruno Takamo.
Yeah, brilliant move indeed. The thing is, can he keep that position? Kim Eriksson, not one to give up positions too easily. He'll definitely be fighting to get that one back. But meanwhile, Catalan and Phil Sell still very close together. These cars very, very similar on pace indeed, it looks like at this moment in time. But the thing is, who will come out on top? We will just have to wait and see. But Phil Sell in that Ferrari is going to have very, very good mechanical grip through the slow-speed corners, and the Mercedes, well, is generally a good all-rounder, good straight line speed as well in that front-ended Mercedes. So I'm going to be very interested to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. As they go into the S's once again, we are keeping an eye on what's happening at the front, but there's been no changes there at the front. That's all pretty much stayed as they were, apart from the fact that Freddie Rasmussen is now 7 seconds ahead of Joshua Rogers in that TTL Esports car. So that's what's going on there. You can see your top 8 on the screen there. So it's Fred Rasmussen in the FA Racing G2 Logitech car in the lead. TTL Esports second place with Joshua Rogers. Pure Racing Team, Maximilian Beneke in third with this queue of cars behind him. Kim Kashube in the Team 33 car in fourth. VRS Quantum Sim Sport, Mitchell de Jong fifth place, and a little bit of a gap of about 5.5 seconds back to SimiCube, Inex Racing Yellow, PJ Sturgios. Ben Devil Sim Racing Blue, 7th place with Euphoria Racing, rounding out your top 8 on the field. We're on board here then with Kashube going in through turn number 1. Still about half a second between each of those at the moment, and the lap times are pretty much settled out now. A 17.1 for Beneke last time, 17.2 for Kashube, and a 17.1 for de Jong as well. So I reckon that those three, they're pretty much settled here, Connery. They're not trying to risk anything at this stage of the race because we've still got 2 hours and 9 minutes. It's this battle further down. Euphoria Racing, Van Sim Racing Blue, and Simicube in X Racing Yellow. That's where the next bit of action is happening for us, Conor.
It is, and well, some of these teams right now will start to be thinking about their first stops right now as we are getting ever closer towards that hour mark, but no one in so far unless they're unscheduled stops for things like damage and things of that ilk. So scheduled stops still to come, and it'd be very interesting to see what kind of strategies the drivers and teams go for right now, because one thing that we haven't mentioned, Paul, is that track temperature, that very cloudy sky as well. Track temperature only 24 degrees Celsius. This means the tires are going to last much better than they would in a basically sun-baked track. So maybe double stinting, maybe we'll even see a triple stint coming out, but that is a very rare beast indeed. But some team with nothing to lose might just go for it.
Looking at a replay of the VRS Trans-Tasman car and Bardelt Sim Racing Bruno De Carmo. It's down the back straight away, and it's going to be a move for position here, and De Carmo just powers past, used the slipstream, got the move done on that Ferrari. It's up to 11th now for Bardel Sim Racing. Really good outing for them here so far today. As I say, 11th position now, and they actually start this race down in 20th place, so really good, promising start for them. And they're really coming through strong towards the end of this first stint here, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff, especially when you consider they are down in what is going to be 29th position in the overall standings, and they're running P11 in this race, and P number 10 definitely looking on the cards right now. Look at De Carmo sitting in the slipstream of that Mercedes. He's going to go for the move here, coming down in towards the chicane. I don't know if this Diego Catalan can really defend this. Battle breakers down into here, and De Carmo straight through. Catalan not really able to fight that.
Yeah, absolutely. De Carmo on a bit of a mission at the moment. Up and over the hill, down the hill again, through the final corner. And that's up to P number 10. It's got a little bit of a gap, 1.7 seconds now to Wyatt Gooden, because Gooden, with all that battle that's going on, was able to pull away for Radicals Online. And, well, Karma, what can he do here now? Is this a question of them maybe gone a little bit lighter on fuel just to try and make their way through the field to start with here, Connery? Or is it just a case of that maybe they set the car up for race pace, maybe not for outright qualifying paces for Cell? Looks to the inside of that Dream Factory car.
Yeah, each of those suggestions are equally viable. Phil Cell so squarely over the entry curve this time for turn number 7 as this little group does get stacked up a little bit through there. There's Kim Eriksson, Black Star Racing, also on the back of this one as well. I think he's just biding his time, saving fuel right now. We haven't seen many aggressive moves from him so far this race. The only fight he's really gotten himself into was when they had that little squabble, this same pack coming up through towards turn number 3. Apart from that, that's about it for Black Star Racing. So they're just playing it patient right now, waiting for those first stops to try and cement their track position somewhere else.
As well. Through the go for another lap here on board with Kim Eriksson. Why don't we go for a little bit of race spot fan immersion here with Kim Eriksson in the Black Star Racing car. Well, out of the exit, the final corner then, Kim Eriksson in that Black Star Racing car, sitting in the draft of another Ferrari, Jared Filsell, in that VRS Trans-Tasman racing car. You see how much curb those Ferraris were taking in through turn number 3, heading down through the S's now towards turn number 5. And well, these two, they're at the back of the queue here. Filsell has dropped back through the field here a little bit, and it's a case of just trying to compose yourself here now, Connery, with you dropping down the field and just getting back into the rhythm of things.
Yeah, for the NX Racing cars, hasn't really been a very good start for them, apart from perhaps the NX Racing yellow car up 1 position from P7 to P number 6, but the rest of them, the number 10 down from P number 8 in qualifying to P number 14. And you've also, that's just not what they want to be having right now. So hopefully the second 2/3 of the race, is going to go much better for them, especially after these first stops file themselves through. It'll be very interesting to see who dives down first in terms of the gaggles of cars that we have. The one for P number 3, 4, 5. And we've also got the one for P number 7 and back as well. So it'd be... This is the point in the race where all the drivers just setting up for those first stops now. I don't think we'll be seeing that many moves in the next couple of minutes.
Now, as we're looking at that battle for P3, 4, 5, oh, Jamie Fluke, what has happened to him in that Apex, the SDK Apex Racing UK car? I have a funny feeling he's done that all himself. He has carried a little bit too much speed into turn number 1 as Jamie. We'll get a replay up on screen here. As you'll see, on board with the Apex car, too much speed, back end goes around here. Turn number 1, that's the second car we've seen do exactly that at turn number 1, so hardly ideal for that Apex Racing UK car. We have got a couple of cars who have come onto pit road early here with about 2 minutes remaining as Team 33 onto pit road here. The first of the leaders then onto pit road in this race. They're making the jump here early, Connery.
Yeah, early with 2 hours, 1 minute and 32 seconds to go. They'll decide to head their way down on towards their lane. They're not the only ones, though. Bardal Sim Racing have decided now is the time that they have to pit. So Bruno Takama will bring that car down on towards the lane as well. We're not seeing a driver change yet for Team 33. Kei Kashube. Actually, yes, we are seeing a driver change just now. Alexandra Voss now getting behind the wheel of team number 33. I think we'll see what happens with Bruno Takama for Bardal Sim Racing here. But Alexandra Voss now, that is definitely a talent that we love to see out there on the racing circuit. Definitely can put Team 33 in a good position here.
I tell you what, their team manager must have looked at the track map and thought, we've got a gap here that we can slot into. Because really that's what you'd be looking for. Freddie Rasmussen coming around for another lap. And in fact, he's coming onto pit road, so your leader is onto pit road, so pretty much everyone going for their pit stop then on the hour, or near as we can for the hour. TTL Esports staying out for another lap here, but everyone else is heading onto pit road here. A little bit of a pit party going on. Euphoria Racing is staying out as well for the time being, but all your leaders now coming onto pit road. And that Team 33 car was only just coming out of the pits now, so that's quite a long pit stop there, but obviously a full service with them having the change of driver there, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. If you change the driver, you might as well take a full service, taking tyres as well as the fuel. As we'll see a couple of cars coming off of pit lane. Atlas Esports come off the lane. Bruno Takama and Bardal Sim Racing, they too decide to head themselves off as well. We still have Freddie Rasmussen for FA Racing G2 on the lane, as well as VRS Commander Sim Sport, as well as PRT Red, Vendaval Sim Racing Blue, Simicube Next Racing Yellow. It's pretty much the entire field on the lane.
Yeah, as Freddie Rasmussen pulls away from his pit stall right at the end of the pit lane, so he could just get on the power, get on the loud pedal and go. The top of the 9 cars have stayed out here. TTL Esports, Joshua Rogers, we'll see if he comes into pit road this time by. Yes, he does. Euphoria Racing were another one that stayed out. So too did Jared Filsell in that Trans-Tasman racing car. Blackstar Racing, NX Racing Red, Jim Yellow. as with Rogers on the pit lane now. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out here, Connery, because he was about 7.5, 8 seconds behind your race leader when Freddie made his pit stop.
He was. So he gets that car stopped in his box. The rest of the cars, though, decide to head their way off. That's Vendor Sim Racing White and Simulcube NX Racing Yellow deciding to head their way out of the lane. Joshua Rogers will have to sit there in the box for a little while longer to take his service for his second stint, as we still see yet more cars deciding now is a good time to pit. We got NX Racing Red. We got VRS Consistent number 18 as well, taking their particular service. And I'm going to look to see where Team 33 is right now. They are currently coming through turn 6 and 7, so they're the car that's going to be battling TTL Esports as they come off the lane. Yeah,
Rasmussen's back through, so he's passed before TTL Esports can even get going. Now they get going, and they're going to come out in third at the moment because Euphoria, MSP Phoenix are in the lead at the moment. They've yet to pit. So effectively, it's Freddie Rasmussen in that FA racing car in the lead with TTL Esports in second. Mitchell de Jong, though, look at how close de Jong is now to Rogers here. So pit stops, they're about 1.8 seconds quicker on the lane was de Jong compared to Rogers. So that big difference there as MSP Phoenix, Alexander Thebe comes onto pit road now, so they were able to get themselves marked as leading a lap in this race. A little bit quick on the pit stop there, Connery, from that VRS Quantum Sim Sport car has meant that they are currently sat behind that TTL Esports car.
Yep, quickest pit stop of everyone so far in these first couple of stops, and we are seeing a split strategy here from your front runners. The likes of FA Racing G2, TTL Esports, VRS kind of Sim Sport number 8. They're going to go for the no driver change short stop for this set of stops. But the thing is, you've got Pure Racing Team Red, Team 33, NX Racing Yellow, all deciding to get their driver change and full service in now. So this will all come to a head in the final stint.
It certainly will, as they're going through into the S's once again. About a second separates second and third then for the time being, as Alexander Thebe coming out of pit road for the MSP Phoenix team. So as we're seeing, that split strategies here. Once again, we're seeing it today. And that means that some teams are going to be out of play. So this middle stint now, we're going to see different teams up here in that top 8 that we didn't see in the first part of the race. But that's all going to come to a head at the final pit stops of the day here. And I'm delighted to say that joining us right now in the commentary booth, Randy Cheneth. Randy, welcome to the booth. We've just had the first round of pit stops. And, well, it's... pretty much as we had last time out, the split strategies, some changing drivers in the first stint, some changing in the second pit stop.
Yeah, which is something you kind of come to expect with this series. With the various strategies, all I know is that my alarm clock with multiple settings is apparently too smart for me.
Yeah, sleep is a wonderful thing, but it is our enemy, and it certainly paid out to be that way this time. But Randy, I know you've got a lot of experience of racing around here. Some of the challenges, we've seen cars spinning off, going too fast through turn number 1 and spinning off. We've seen cars having trouble with the bumps at turn number 5 as well. Are those really the main two issue points of this track, and how difficult is it to set up a car for this track because it's such different varying parts of the halves of the circuit?
It's one of those things where depending on the length of the race, you're going to have a riskier, I think, setup. If you're doing a shorter kind of more sprint format, you might run a little bit lower wing setting, get some rake out of the car to try to get as much speed down that back straight as you can. But as your race distance gets longer and longer, I think you end up adding a little bit more wing to get a little bit stability through those fast corners, through turn 1, through down through the S's, through that last corner as well. And it's just an issue of compromises. It's really that simple. That said, here, a race of 3 hours long, for the guys that are this good, they're probably going to have a pretty risky setup on it. They're going to have the wing angle probably nearly as low as they can get it to maximize the speed down that back straight. If it was something closer to a 6-hour race or a 12-hour race, maybe people would be a little bit riskier with it. But it is a track that requires a lot of compromises in terms of the setup, because you need to be stable through the S's. And like you said, there's the bumpy sectors in the S's that can really cause issues as well. That you need to have the suspension and the shocks pretty much set up perfectly to be able to handle it.
We were on board with the BMW of Jim Jr. Yellow, battling it out for 7th place with MSP Phoenix Racing. MSP Phoenix Racing, Connery, not really paid attention to them, but all of a sudden, with those first pit stops, up there in 7th place now.
Yeah, this is just the quirk of the split strategies at the moment. We're seeing these guys so high the timing boards. They'll sort itself out by the end of the race, but for right now, they can say they're fighting for P number 7 and 8 effectively on the racing circuit. But Jim Jr. Yellow, apart from just a lap or so ago, hasn't really been close enough to be able to challenge MSV Phoenix Racing right now. It's actually, Vendaval, yeah, that's Vendaval Sim Racing Blue, I believe, that has run into issues.
Turn 5 once again. Turn 5 catches them out. We'll get a look at the replay here. Oh, it was a car in front of them, actually, that lost control and into the side of that car. And, well, we've got even more dramas going on as well. Carrying on, Triton Racing have got involved in something. MSP Phoenix Racing number 1, Lucas Yestad, involved here as well. So, big dramas going on, and this is all down at turn number 5 here, Connery.
Yeah, it is, and perhaps we'll get a replay of the MSV Phoenix incident as we'll see the little spin from Simicube in X Racing. It's just such a huge impact into the door there from Vendaval Sim Racing Blue. But the issue with MSV Phoenix Racing 1 and one of the other drivers there is again turn number 5 out onto the gravel, onto the bumps, heavy into the barriers, and there's nowhere Triton Racing could have gone there.
No, absolutely not. And, we'll just take a quick moment, step aside for just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with all the action here.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. A big there we go! Take time!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Wonky! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one-day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 5th round of the VRS GT World Championship on Racesport TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Well, it's been a pretty interesting first hour and 12 minutes. Going to hand it back then to Paul Smith, Connie Maddock, and Randy Cheneth.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, we've had a little issue, and TTL, Joshua Rogers, had a little issue on the last lap then. Ran wide at turn number 1, and that cost them a bunch of time, about 3 seconds. So that's dropped them back a little bit. That meant that Mitchell de Jong was able to make their way past for that second place. So change positions there at the front. 11.3 seconds though. FA Racing GT Logitech G lead this one. Frederick Rasmussen behind the wheel there of that one. Just a dominant display from him so far today behind the wheel of that Audi. A little further down, Euphoria Racing all in run in 4th place. Radicals Online and VRS Trans-Tasman. Those two just can't seem to be separated at the moment. There's about 0.6 of a second between them. And, well, Jared Filsell's got the bit between his teeth here, because these last 3 laps, Connery, he's been gaining on that Radicals Online car.
Yeah, they've been stuck together like glue since, well, the entirety of the first stint and the start of this second stint as well. Just absolutely no separating them. But right now, it is that Radicals Online BMW there ahead of the Trans-Tasman Racing car. And I did notice on that Radicals Online car, a little bit of damage to the rear end, a little bit of diffuser damage as well. So maybe that car isn't really going as fast as it could potentially be going right now. So that is an interesting one indeed. But Filsell will close up coming through the final chicane because of that low-speed grip that Ferrari has through that particular section. But right now, those lap times, a 1:17.9 once again for Trans-Tasman Racing, a 1:18.1 there for Radicals Online. So another 0.2 of a second goes the way of Trans-Tasman Racing. I think they're just going to be trading lap times at this point with how they've been going.
By the way, I think the British summer is trying to give me how it would feel to be sat in the cockpit of one of these cars right now. It is baking here in the UK, and we'll struggle on.
What is it, 75 degrees Fahrenheit?
I'll tell you right now, it is 83.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's winter here in Southern California.
Yes, but that's because you're used to it. We're only used to about 3 days of summer. But anyway, this battle between Filsell and Radicals still going on here as they go down that back straightaway once again here. And Randy, what does Filsell have to do then to get past White Gooden? Because Gooden, he fought for so long in the first hour of that race to get past Filsell. Filsell, though, has been gaining these last few laps.
I think he just needs to be patient with the way these guys are swapping lap times. Filsell isn't a huge amount quicker. They're probably more or less even. I think the bulk of that 0.2 is going to be coming in the slipstream down that back straightaway. So in a certain extent, there's really not a whole lot I think Wyatt Gooden can do as they come across in the lap times. Wyatt did a good job that last lap to bring kind of the margin down. Only 0.1 of a second is what Filsell was able to reel in that last trip around the racetrack. But for Jared, as long as he's pretty much picture perfect through the S's and basically through all the complicated parts of this lap, if he can stay roughly even maybe hemorrhage a little bit of time to Wyatt and just stay close enough to have that slipstream down the back straightaway, he's probably going to be closing in considering what the gap is now.
Yeah, absolutely. Half a second as it is. That BMW just having a little bit of an advantage through the S's there. That's where you'd imagine that BMW to be stronger with that little bit of superior downforce, and out the turn 7 now through the sweep at 8. Look at the battle for the lead. De Jong and Rasmussen on board with De Jong at the moment. And, well, his lap times last time by were about 0.2 of a second slower than Rasmussen in this one. So, really, just dropping back a little bit is Rasmussen, is De Jong at the front there. We've also got battle going on between two BMWs.
Oh,
as
TTL
well.
just had another issue. Josh Rogers at the top of the hill in towards turn 3 at the S's just ran wide. It's just another runoff that we saw him, similar to what we saw him have earlier at turn 1, where he just pushed wide, but this is going to give him a slowdown as well. So that TTL Esports GT machine, although Josh is very, very quick, starting to see mistakes there from Josh Rogers. It's costing them quite a bit of time.
Certainly is, and he's really struggling with that corner then, and able to carry on here. And well, that's dropped him back now 3.8 seconds behind. They're going on now, so looking further down the order as well. Bardal Sim Racing lost a couple of positions going through the final corner. It was Bruno De Carmo at the wheel there. He lost positions to both Blackstar Racing and NX Racing Red. Jim Jr. in Izuri in 13th place at the head of this group here. And Connery, you look at this gaggle once again. Bruno De Carmo getting involved with those two in front of Blackstar and NX Racing Red.
Yeah, and of course Bardal, part of the group of cars that decided to take tyres, and perhaps, well, not the driver change, but definitely took tyres on that last stop. So that is the split strategy deal that we have to be considering right now. But this train of cars just filing their way through the final chicane right now. No one really close enough to make any moves on each other as they come out towards the final corner. But yeah, Bardal Sim Racing not being the greatest start to the second stint that they could have had, losing those couple of positions. But I'm quite confident that they do have the pace in the car to try and recover coming into the latter stages of this stint.
The leading cars of those that took tyres at the pit stops then. Pure Racing Team Red, Maximilian Beneke all over the back of Williams Jim Jr. Yellow. And Beneke using that slipstream on the BMW now as they head down the back straightaway. Alongside he goes. And he's going to make it past before they even make it to the chicane. So it's going to be a position gain for Max Beneke. That's up to now 8th place in this race for Pure Racing Team Red. And that team, they're pushing on. They want the next position as, well, we'll just have to step aside just a moment. We're having a few more technical issues, but we'll be right back after this.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details. you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR at Night Series powered by iRacing.
Well, this testing us today, that really is, but do you know what? We're still here and we'll keep on bringing this coverage for you. And well, what I can tell you is that Pure Racing Team Red have made the move through on MSP Phoenix Racing 2. It's Alexander Thebe down in position now. Next target for Maximilian Benecke is that VRS Trans-Tasman Racing Jared Filsell car, who's dropped back a little bit from that Radicals Online 3.3 seconds. So all of a sudden Jared is looking in his mirrors rather than in front of him here, Randy, because Benecke is on fresher tyres and he wants places.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you're Phil Sell, you're more or less just going to have to let this spot go, similar to what we saw a couple of the cars behind do, specifically Guillermo Scooter kind of just basically got out of the way and let Max have it down into the chicane. I'm not sure if that time is going to be right now because Max has a decent run, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to that Trans-Tasman Ferrari down on the chicane to make him move, so it's probably going to be within the next couple of laps. But when Max gets there, it's going to be in Jared's best interest to just let him through. It'll be the kind of lowest time loss to him as opposed to fighting him for this spot with what, an hour and a half left to go.
Yeah, absolutely. We're heading towards the halfway point of this race here today. And Benecke looking early. He's looking to the right. Live timing and scoring is available. Racebot.tv/timing. Don't forget to get social with us as well. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. Use the hashtag that you will see on screen in just a moment. There we go. iRacing WCS. Make sure you tag Racebot TV and the real VRS as well in that one. Make yourself heard, get interactive with us, guys, and well, Benecke is getting interactive with Phil Sell in front of him. Phil Sell, you can see a slight bit of damage on the left rear of that Ferrari, and he's going to have to live with that as Benecke right up behind. This is what fresher tyres can do for you, but this is where maybe how this strategy might not pan out in the final third of the race, Connery, because you're going to have a bunch of cars with fresh tyres against Pure Racing Team Red, who are going to be on 2 stint tyres.
Yeah, exactly. But Benecke and PRT Red managed to make themselves, known and made their way through on Trans-Tasman Racing. So that's yet another position gain there for PRT Red on their quest to side through the field of old tired cars. The next car down the line will be Radicals Online. They're currently running 1:18 flat in terms of lap times, and PRT Red, well, we can't really we can take that last lap time with a grain of salt because they had to make the pass, but they definitely have been gaining multiple tenths of a second over the past couple of laps on these cars with all tyres.
One thing I do think the Benecke has done is just brought along with him that MSP Phoenix car to that Trans-Tasman Racing car. So Phil Sell and Thebe now are getting a bit close together, and right behind them is the Williams Jim Jr. yellow car. So definitely a little mini train of cars here battling it out for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, although 6th place already is getting away from them. Benecke using the superior grip of his tyres to pull away, but in the slipstream of Phil Sell here, not close enough for this time to make a move. Benecke looking ahead at him. We're on board with Benecke actually at the moment into the chicane, and he's closing up, he's gaining on that Radicals Online car. Down the hill they go through for another lap. This last lap gone by, Radicals 17.9, Pure Racing Team Red 17.4. So half a second between them in terms of lap time. But here's Thebe. We're on board with Thebe now into turn 3. Through the S as they go here. And it's all about your run through here. Keep as close as you can to the car in front, because you want to have the exit out of turn 7. Oh, Phil Sell there, Randy, just getting out all sorts of loose on the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, Phil Sell's really struggling right now. I don't think it's just the fact that Beneke kind of got into the slipstream and pulled that MSP Phoenix car along. That VRS Trans-Tasman car has slowed down the last handful of laps. When we were watching earlier when he was fighting with that Radicals car, he was pretty consistently in the high 17s. He's not had a lap in the 17 for the last 6 laps. He had one lap where he did a 19.2. Something went disastrously wrong as down into the chicane. Team might have a look, going to take a try on the brakes, but no, he's going to back out of that one. Not quite close enough, but he had that one bad lap where he did a 19, and he's been struggling to get down into the 17s ever since. His quickest lap has basically been an 18.1, so Phil Sell may be feeling the pressure here a little bit as he comes across, and that's going to be an 18.1 as well, so about the quickest lap he's done in a recent sequence. His team kind of has a look down at turn 1, which is a really difficult place to ever make a move.
We've seen moves happen there today, though, that's for sure. You saw the grass getting kicked up as well by Thebe on the exit that final corner, and definitely he's pushing that BMW along so far. But I'll tell you what, in about 3 seconds time we'll be at the halfway point of this race here today in the Virtual Racing School GT iRacing World Championship Series here on iRacing Live, brought to you by RaceSpot TV. And here is the top 8 as they stand at the moment. FA Racing G2 Logitech G are in the lead of this one by 14.3 seconds, ahead of the VRS Coanda SimSport car in second place. TTL Esports GT in third, they're a further 3.5 seconds behind that Coanda car, with Euphoria Racing fourth. Fifth place then for Wyatt Gooden in the Radicals Online car, but he's coming under pressure now from Maximilian Beneke in this part of the race. Trans-Tasman Racing in 7th place. Right behind them, the MSP Phoenix Racing. Alexander Thebe looking to make the move into turn number 1 here. And, well, it's been a race of drama, it's been a race of action, it's been a race of incident here as well. We've had a number of cars retire from this race so far. Odox Motorsports, Williams Jim Jr. White, Course Racing Silver, Pure Racing Team Black and Triton Racing all retired from this one, with multiple cars also having to take pit stops for repairs as well. Incidents are plenty, drivers struggling with the track, but one driver who isn't struggling with the track at the moment, Connery, is Maximilian Beneke, as he's now right up behind Wyatt Gooden.
Yep, he is, and I think this will be a pretty easy pass for Maximilian Beneke. Don't think Wyatt Gooden's going to fight this one. He knows how fast Beneke is on those fresher tyres. He's just going to let him through drivers right-hand side of the racing circuit. Slot back in does Wyatt Gooden, and that's that pass complete for PRT Red. And now, what have you spotted, Paul?
With turn 5, once again, Black Star Racing, Kim Eriksson has had drama then on the exit of turn 5. It's caught out another driver here today, and he got up over the curbs, actually got some air there as well. We'll have a look at the replay here. It's Kim Eriksson, you see him going around there, hits the tyres, not too hard hit the tyres though, so it shouldn't be too bad should that car, but yeah, all about careful rejoin, but they're back up and running then, but down, way down, 22nd position now. And Randy, you've just seen how easy it is to make a mistake, especially at that turn 5.
It's definitely the trouble part of the lap, and at the start of the race it might be turn 3 that you'll see the stack up issues, maybe down on the chicane as well, but that corner at turn 5 is easily the most technical. It's just fast enough that I would consider it relatively high speed, and the exit curbing is just so bumpy that if you get it just a little bit wrong, it's going to be exactly like what you saw, and you're going to be bouncing all over the place. So it's a place that'll catch people out, especially as we get deeper into this race and people maybe start getting a little bit mentally fatigued. I'd say look for the drivers who are maybe doing double stints. Late in those double stints might be prone to making mistakes there.
Connery, one thing we haven't mentioned in this race so far, and we'll mention it now, we're on board with 17th place driver Andrew Carl, and a bit of a change of team now, with them being Altus Esports.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, they used to be one of the Evolution Racing team cars that have decided to break away from that team, create their own team of Altus Esports, the number 28 machine. So that is the car involving the likes of Andrew Carl, currently behind the wheel. We've got Simon Fiegel and Zachary Hanlon as well that are registered drivers for that team. So let's just see how this change of branding, this change of atmosphere, you could say, is going to affect them.
Certainly. Well, speaking of affecting, here comes Jared Filsell under pressure into 6th. This is a battle for 7th place. They're going side by side, almost rubbing doors there. And here's Team 33 getting in on the act. And this is contact between them. Around they go. And MSP Phoenix Racing have got their engine blown. Jared Filsell and Trans Tasman, they're going to struggle to get that car back to the pits. Randy, replay. Let's have a look at that.
They may have been just pushing the boundaries a little bit too much of Alexander Teeb there, because he tried to pinch that Ferrari off, but Filsell is always going to have to come back onto the circuit. But at the same time, I think that just might be a racing incident. Just unfortunately, two drivers racing hard and maybe taking a little bit too much with one of them, not giving just enough room.
And it's heartbreak really for Thebe, because MSP Phoenix have been doing really well up to that point, Connery, and getting involved in an incident like that. We've been saying how really drivers don't need to do anything desperate, but you saw that gaggle of cars together, and Team 33 were in there as well. They nearly got involved in that one as well.
It's just an example of how one mistake can lead on to so many other things. It's like a chain reaction back there in the middle sector, as MSP Phoenix Racing number 87, well, the 2, but the number 87 in the sim, Alexander Thebe, bringing that car down on towards the lane, completely just smoking. That car is going to spend an eternity down on that pit stall to get it in any form of a racing condition there. So they might just retire the car outright, which will be an absolute shame for them, like you said, Paul, because they have been running so well, and to have it end like that is just heartbreaking.
Absolutely. Looking then at your lead battle, 14.6 seconds between them. And I tell you what, Freddie Rasmussen has been... he's just been on another level round here today. He started on pole. He's been out in front. I did see on social media earlier today that he mentioned that he'd worked harder at getting ready for this race than he has done any other race before. And Randy, when we consider how dominant they were last year, that's a really scary prospect for some of these teams.
Certainly is. I think Freddie hasn't jived with this car the way they were able to with the McLaren last season. So they've sort of, I think, struggled just a little bit. Well, I won't say struggled, but they've not had that edge that they had in the last season. But regardless, they've shown great pace, and now this might be their best opportunity to potentially get a win. I'm still watching closely that number 72 Pure Racing Team red car, because right now Max is about 34 seconds back, which is really closely approaching the delta of what a tire stop gets you. So if Freddie and I believe it'll be Seb, maybe Isaac, who gets in that car, not really sure just yet. If they opt to take tires at the pit stop, which they probably will, Pure Racing Team is going to be close, because Pure Racing Team Red does have a pretty big pace advantage right now on that new set of tires, and they are reeling in that number 14 FA Racing G2 Logitech G car. And with about 20 minutes to go or so till the final stop, Max has quite a bit of time to be able to bring that gap down. The question is, will the traffic play nice enough with him for him to be able to bring that gap down?
By the way, Randy, what a position to be in to not know which of Isaac Price or Sebastian Job is going to jump in. You know, that's a very strong position for them to be in right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a couple names that are definitely stand out. Sebastian is definitely the pacier of the two.
Drama. Jonas Wallmeyer, Pure Racing Team Blue, was going down the inside of turn number 1. You see the back end of that one there sliding across the track. He's back up and running now. Able to get running just in front of that Glacier North car, but that was all because of a move that he'd put on, I believe it was the next racing car of Joseph Falgren, that he made the move down the inside. There was a little bit of contact between the two of them. That sent Falgren sideways into the side of Jonas Wallmeyer. as we see on board on the replay there. But great work from Wallmeyer there to avoid all of the walls there, because those concrete walls aren't far away from the edge of the track there, Connery.
Yep, exactly. Not much runoff on two, and fantastic job by Bruno Takamo as well to try and get himself through that wreck. He just basically went straight down the middle of the two spinning cars, and Bradal Sim Racing survives to fight another day and gains those two positions.
Certainly has. Well, we'll look then as they look to recover the Pure Racing Team Blue, and well, looking forward, and really everything's just calmed down a little bit in that top 10 now. Everybody's sort of gapped out a little bit here. Glacier North trying to battle with that Pure Racing Team Blue car is your closest battle on track at the moment, because they've got a ton of cars behind them. The number 18 that we saw have the incident on lap 1 at turn number 5, that's where that damage came from, and Randy, you would kind of think that Joni Tarkkanen is a little bit out of position with where he is on track right now.
Yeah, he definitely is, especially once you have a turn 1 incident. And that's sort of been the story of the sister VRS Quinn and Synsport cars all season, hasn't it? We've seen Mitchell and friends in that number 8. They've had a fantastic season all year. It'll be interesting to see who gets in to close out that race for that number 8 car, whether it's going to be Mac or who's going to get behind the wheel. It might be even David Williams. But the other couple VRS Quinn and Synsports car, both of them, including the defending series champions from a couple seasons ago, which, matter of fact, that car hasn't even showed up. So it's just been it's been a bit of a rough season and a half or so for those two cars, because it really is this Mitchell-led machine that this season has Mac in it that's been the one really waving the Quinda Synsport flag in this series.
Antoine Heglam making the move in the SDK Apex Racing UK car. That's put them up a position up to 17th, ahead of the Altus Esports car. The Altus car has got a little bit of damage on the front, actually, as well as the back, so been in the wars here today. So too was the Apex car, to be fair. And, well, they're slowly gaining on this gaggle of cars that are battling away that we were talking about. That 13th down now to about 19th positions. That battle on track, all pretty close together for the time being. But I tell you what, heading towards the final pit stops, as in fact Core Sim Racing black on screen at the moment. They've had a nightmare of a race today. Van Devil Sim Racing white as well, involved in the battle, and Altus have dropped another position, by the way, as that number 9 car of Van Devil Sim Racing white running wide, going off track, losing the positions, and well, certainly going through your field. TTL Esports in the lead of this one. Not in the lead of this one, in third place, sorry. I think the heat's getting to me now. Third place for them, 2.4 seconds behind Mitchell de Jong there. Euphoria Racing in fourth place behind them by about the same gap. So TTL, what we're looking for from them towards the because there'll be definitely driver change in this in the next pit stop here, Connery.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're looking at for the drivers that didn't take it last time, because this is only a 2-stop event. They basically have to, they're forced to take their driver change in this final stop, which will be upcoming in about the next 17 minutes or so. Generally, drivers do like to pit themselves on the hour, but there's some little bits of leeway in terms of that one. We've seen some drivers come down a little bit early. We saw Team 33 come down early for that first stop. It was only 1 or 2 laps earlier than everyone else, but early it still is. Let's see how that one works out for them. But right now, race is looking a little bit stagnant, at least inside of your top 10, but we still got that battle for what's going to be P number 13 going on right now. P number 14, 15 as well. There's VRS Kind of Synsport number 18 versus Glacier North. there as well. But Quanta Simsport, fantastic that last time by. Just pulls themselves out a good half a second over Glacier North, but looks like Glacier North has actually decided to pull that one back in. You've also got Williams Jim Jr. Black in this train as well. But meanwhile, the rest of the field, we've got Team 33 trying to make some inroads now on towards Radicals Online. So Team 33, the second car on fresher tires. So we've got the Pure Racing Team Red Car first car on fresher tires, Team 33 the second car. They're going to try and get past Radicals Online on the older tires on I think the end of this lap.
Yeah, they're certainly going to try that, that's for sure. That's the battle of 6th and 7th place. Voss, we mentioned about the talent of Voss getting into this car at the first pit stop, and he's somebody that maybe Randy doesn't really focus attention on people's radars, but Alexander does a fantastic job for this team.
He certainly is. I mean, he's a driver that's had some really, really good runs as Alexander Voss, and maybe he's just a quicker driver here at Road Atlanta for this group. It's happened in the past where he's been sort of the ace. I've seen him have fantastic races where he's kind of the class of that lineup, and he's not going to be closely tucked behind the rear wing of that BMW of Wyatt Gooden. He was about 6/10 quicker the last trip around the racetrack, and he should be making a huge amount down this back straightaway in the draft. Let's see if that big heavy Mercedes is going to be able to make a move down on the chicane. Doesn't actually look like it. Not quite close enough just yet, so it'll have to be at least one more lap here for Alexander Voss as they head through the chicane and then up towards the bridge and then down the hill in just a moment. Voss is still closing. Maybe having a move down in turn 1 might be an opportunity if he can carry the speed here off this last corner.
He's making the move here and making it count. You saw the speed that he carried through that final corner. Through he goes there. Not really any battle from Wyatt Gooden. I think he realises that that's not the battle that he's involved with, Wyatt. He's more involved with the people like the Jim Jr. Yellow and people of that sort. So, I'm just looking at the lap times. You can see them on screen there. 1/10 difference there, Connery, in his lap times for Alexander Voss from his best. So he's pretty much on it right now.
Yep, on it 100%, trying to make these laps count on the fresher tyres and trying to get himself through the cars on the older tyres. We got MSP Phoenix Racing ahead of him, which is actually 1 lap down, so I don't think that'll be too big of an issue for Alexander Voss. But back to Bruno De Carmo right now. We just got to look to see where he is going to get himself out. That's Bardal Sim Racing, yes, 11th place right now, trying to track down that Simuki Phoenix Racing yellow car. But look at the lap times, only 1/100th of a second between them.
Yeah, they're certainly pretty close in terms of pace here. That Simucube Inex Racing yellow car in 10th place. Bruno De Carmo, he seems to have been sat around that sort of position in this race all through the second part of that first stint. In fact, Thrustmaster Movano yellow onto pit road right now, so they're making a pit stop in this one. And that's a little early for the final pit stop, but anyway, they're making it. And they can make it to the end, but Bardal certainly looking to try and make inroads on that Inex Racing yellow car. And in fact, heavy damage on that Thrustmaster Movano car on the front. It's not been a day for Thrustmaster Movano, it must be said. They've been struggling all the way through this event here. And I don't think we need the speed graphic to tell you they're going nowhere at the moment in that one. But looking at your battle then, De Carmo has been gaining. That last lap was just short of 2/10 quicker than that Inex Racing yellow car. Down the back straight they go once again. And still not close enough to make the move. We've got that TTL Esports Joshua Rogers car on screen right now. He's actually been closing up to Mitchell de Jong these last few laps, and all of a sudden there's 1.2 between them here, Andy.
Yeah, really surprising. I think Mitchell may have hit a bit of a wall in the tires as well, because Basically went from doing high 17s to low 18s. He did an 18-0, 18-2, 18-1, and an 18-0 last time, where Josh Rogers has pretty consistently been able to stay in the mid 17s. There's an 18-6 mixed in there, but that's likely due to traffic. So Josh Rogers likely to be smelling a little bit of blood in the water and might be in for their best result since their win at Bathurst here in this championship. Of course, they dominated that race and have since kind of fallen a little bit flat, really. Been running, top 15s, top 20 for the most part. So this TTL car might be able to make something of this here tonight. The other thing to watch is that Pure Racing Team Red car is still very tight to the tire change delta of that FA Racing G2 Logitech G car. Gap is down to about 30 seconds, which is pretty much what we look at in terms of tire changes for these GT3 cars. So the gap's going to be very, very tight. And if that number 14 machine opts to take tires of who's going to be leading this race and who isn't.
Well, this is it. This is what they've got to look at is they've got that 30-second gap then between your leader and 5th place, Maximilian Beneke. I think right now, if you take the tyres, you may be a little bit quicker, but you're going to have to make an overtake, whereas if you don't take the tyres, you're going to be slower than that car, and you may it opens you up for more mistakes as well to happen, Connery, because you're on the older rubber.
Yeah, but does just overall reduce grip, and if you abuse the rear tires coming out of these corners, that can be a big problem for you in the latter stages of the stint. You just struggle to get the power down. But that gap now between VRS Kind of Simsport number 8 and TTL Esports now getting towards within a second now. So Rogers definitely on a charge at this late stage in the second stint, and he knows he has to do it now because, to use an esports term, he's basically the carry for this team right now for TTL Esports. He is their star driver, and a lot of their results hinges on him just absolutely going bananas out there on track.
And well, who do they have to come into the car now at this one? Richard Hampstead, and you would hope that Richard has been working on his ability in this car to get that little bit extract that little bit more pace out of it, Randy, because we saw at Bathurst where that TTL car ended up taking the victory, how they really struggled when Joshua jumped out the car.
I mean, that is sort of the talking point for this car. It's I think if there's any team that really struggles, the two teams I think that really struggle in terms of in pace difference between their fastest driver and the second driver that has to race is actually these two we're seeing fighting on track, VRS Kind of Simsport and TTL Esports, because whenever Mitchell or whenever Josh gets out of their respective vehicles, the car's pace seems to struggle just a little bit. Mac is definitely, I think, he's not super far off Mitchell, but he's not had the sort of edge, and Quant has really relied on Mr. Jeong this season in this car. And it's been the same story as Richard Hampstead. I think, if I remember, he served. He's like 6 or 7 tenths off Josh's pace at Bathurst when they did that race, because there's a huge gap that they were able to pull in pretty late in that race. And it pretty much, like you said, Josh basically had to man mode about 5 hours of that race in order for them to pull it off.
As well, you see the battle then on screen, second and third, two Audis battling it out. VRS Kind of Simsport, the number 8, Mitchell de Jong, their second place in the championship here. The second place in this race as well at the moment. TTL Esports, third place in the race, 5th place in the championship. They need a really good result here to try and bring them back into that championship battle. And these two battling it out on track. Is in the slipstream here. It's all about the exit out of turn number 7 now as they head down that back straightaway. There's an hour and 8 minutes remaining in this race here today. 3 hours of road Atlanta, and it's been really tough. Hard fought action. 24 degrees track temperature, 22 degrees air temperature. Through the chicane they go. Down the hill once again, but at the moment Joshua Rogers just staying behind for the time being. Meanwhile, Bardell, they also are pretty close together on track with the Inex Racing yellow car. Will be switching between the two of those because they're both looking really promising battles here, as in fact Takamo in the slipstream is in the Audi. BMW in front of him, not quite as fast a car down that straight. Here we go towards the chicane. The BMW's good on the brake stop. It shows as well into the chicane. So holding on to that position for the time being is Friskops. But back to that battle for second place. Josh Rogers running a little bit wide on the exit of turn number 6 and turn number 7 there, trying to get the run out the corner. And I don't think he's going to be quite close enough this time. He's 6/10 behind for the time being. And look who's sneaking around behind as well. Euphoria Racing, they're gaining on this battle. And Pure Racing Team Red, they're about 7.5 seconds off of this battle as well. So they've been able to rein them in here in this battle. Still no change of position between those two, as we'll possibly look back to that Bardal and NX Yellow battle as they're heading towards the back straight right now. That's the battle for 10th and 11th. And look at the run that Takama's got out of turn 7 there. Absolutely right up behind the rear bumper of that BMW now. Using every little bit of the slipstream. Moves out to the right then. He's going to make that move before the chicane. And you know what? Friskop says, I can't fight that one. So that's a change of position then. Bardal Sim Racing up into 10th place in the field here. And Connery, once again, they're working their way through and they're into that top 10 again.
Yep. Thank you very much, Robin. Friskops signed Bruno Takamo there as he makes his way through back up to P number 10, which we is a position we did see them in at the end of that first stint. So great running for them on what is one of the split strategies right now of taking tires, and the rest of the front runners didn't take tires on that first stop. So we'll see things mix up once again in these next stops.
Rogers looking to the inside of the chicane, not able to make the move, trying to get the run out the chicane now, down towards the end of the lap. And De Jong was twitching, just trying to dummy a defensive move down that back straightaway. So he feels pressured by Joshua Rogers, and here comes Euphoria Racing now. Augustine Canapino here, Randy, and all of a sudden we've got a three-way battle. And they're all slowing each other down because Freddie Rasmussen now 21.4 seconds ahead of this battle.
Yeah, I mean, he's so far out, but Augustin Canapino having a really good run as Josh Rogers. That's a big mistake to make down at the S's. That might give him a slowdown. And these mistakes are really starting to stack up, but indeed, I think he got a black for that little cut down in the S's. And Augustin Canapino, the Turismo Carretera driver, is going to be able to pick up a free spot because from that one. And now that BMW, which has had phenomenal pace here late in the run, doing mid to low 17s, which is pretty much the best you can really ask for, I think, out of that car, is tucked right up. Well, he's going to be tucked up on the rear wing of Mitchell de Jong shortly, and going to be really involved in the fight for second.
Yeah, this is all of a sudden switched around. You saw on board live the little twitch that Joshua Rogers got going into at the exit of the S's, going into towards turn 5, and he took the smart decision of, rather than trying to wrestle it round turn 5, to just take the cut across the corner. It's a little bit risky that, because you can hit a bump in the grass there and send you around, but I think that was overall the better decision, Connery, for him to make in that one. But Euphoria Racing now it's their turn to put the pressure on Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what they can do. But that mistake from TTL Esports all stemmed from a little bit over eagerness over the curbs. One of the apexes of the S is just completely upset the car for Joshua Rogers. Had to take to the grass, but as we already discussed, that was the right decision instead of spinning that car around or hitting another driver. But keeps him well within this battle. Maybe those tires have overheated just a little bit. Needs to cool them down, but with the cool track temperatures, that will happen relatively quickly. But now, Augustin Canapino, Euphoria Racing GT, can they get themselves onto what is going to be the second step of the podium right now, coming towards the end of the second stint? Down towards the inside, he'll go down in towards the final chicane. Canapino has the trap position, but can he get the trap position on the exit? Mitchell de Jong not able to find the line coming out of the last chicane, and that just results in Canapino securing P number 2 for Euphoria.
Certainly does. Across the line they go then, up into P number 2. Great drive so far from Euphoria, but in the background, 5 seconds behind that battle, Maximilian Beneke. He's only 28 seconds off of your race leader here, Randy, so he's been lapping quicker than your leader. In fact, look at Beneke's last lap, it was only 2/100ths off of his personal best.
Yeah, and he was actually 7/10ths quicker than your leader of Frederick Rasmussen. So this Pure Racing Team red car might have some pace on old tires. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. But inside of 28 seconds, that's normally about the delta we talked about in terms of skipping tires. It usually takes 7 seconds to switch an individual tire, and you do each tire one at a time, so it stacks up to 28 seconds. We normally just sort of round it to 30 for ease of commentary. But now that he's inside of that delta, that 72 car is a very real possibility of being able to come off pit road with the race lead after FA Racing G2 Logitech G makes their pit stop as well, if they choose to take tires. So it's going to be interesting to see on the strategy what they decide to do, because they are there.
As well, look at that VRS, Mitchell DeYoung onto pit road then. We've got 1 hour and 1 minute remaining in this one. And they're the first ones to blink this time by. Last time it was that Team 33 car earliest onto pit road, but now VRS Coanda Simsport making their final pit stop of the final planned pit stop of the day. Change of driver is due here as well. And well, again, it's another team that have a choice of drivers, and right now it's going to be Matt Backham getting into that car. Good driver to have for this final stint here, and he'll be able to get going again. Inex Red have had an incident at the chicane. Hopefully we'll be able to have a look at that one, because they lost it all on themselves going into the first part of the chicane. Around the WEM, we'll get the look at that one. Josef Falgren, it is behind the wheel for them. And as you'll see there, round it goes. Doesn't touch the wall though, that's crucial for them. And they're able to carry on in this one. But we'll have a look then at your leaders. Well, Freddie Rasmussen staying out for the time being. Euphoria Racing now on to pit road. So to a TTL Esports, Joshua Rogers onto pit road. So too Maximilian Beneke. He's done a fantastic job of bringing that car through, and to get it in a position that could potentially put them in a race challenging position. But he's got to hand that car over as Beneke. And we've seen he's got Howler, he's also got Patrick Pichler available to him. Who's going to jump into that car? We'll tell you momentarily. It is going to be Ivo Howler. So good change of driver for Pure Racing Team Red. And Connor, we've seen over the years that this red team is really the one that has got the best sort of combined pace of the Pure Racing Team cars.
Yep, definitely. And now how getting behind the wheel of that car, it's he's more of a driver that I would say is more of an anchor driver. Is actually, yes, Freddie Rasmussen is in, FA Racing G2 Logitech G is in, and now we'll get to see whether it's going to be Isaac Price or Sebastian Job to take them to the end of the race.
Well, I can tell you that Pure Racing Team Red have not taken tyres. That was expected. So Howlett comes out of pit road now, and he's going to be looking at where Freddie Rasmussen's team, that FA Racing G2 Logitech G car, comes out, and it's going to be Sebastian Job coming into that car. Very quick driver, Sebastian Job. Can do a fantastic job for them, no pun intended. And Randy, this is all going to be down to how Ivor Howler on his outlap does, and how quickly he can get around to that start and finish line.
That's going to be the big thing to watch here. Of course, the other thing to maybe think about is FA Racing Logitech G coming in one lap later. They would have had an extra lap light on fuel, so there might be a slight advantage there as well. Car is going to go up for that FA Racing G2 Audi R8. So now it's confirmed that they're taking tires. Pure Racing Team Red is on the run down in towards the chicane right now, making the quick flick to the left, quick flick to the right. How much longer is Sebastian Job going to have to wait?
10 seconds he's going to wait. I think it's going to be about 10 seconds. Here we go. We're going to see potentially a battle off the pit lane. And I tell you what, Job's going. Here comes Howler through turn number 1. Where's Job? There he is, coming out of pit road. And look at how close those two are then. through into turn 3, and crucially, Sebastian Job is on the newer tyres there, Connery.
Yeah, exactly, and now all Seb Job has to do is get those tyres up to temperature and just run for the hills. He knows Ivo Howler is on the older tyres, probably won't be able to keep pace with him. This is FA Racing G2's race to lose now.
As Nascimento for Bardal Motorsports, they've been on pit road. They come out now in around about 10th position. Yes, they are 10th position, so they've been able to consolidate that position in this race so far. We've just got 2 more cars yet to make a pit stop. Josef Fahlgren in that Inex Racing red car and Kim Eriksson in the Black Star Racing car. Here comes Inex Red onto pit road now. And then it's going to be Black Star onto pit road as well. We'll keep an eye then on how the top 8 pans out once they've hit onto pit road. As Job in the lead and already pulling out a gap over Howler there. And that's a really good outlap from Job then. So it's FA Racing G2, Logitech G in the lead with Racing Team Red in second place. All going to be about who comes through third. That's going to be the Team 33 car. That Mercedes in third place. Euphoria Racing. They must be euphoric at the moment because they're in fourth. Dream Factory right behind them though, 5th place. That's a really good close battle there. TTL Esports and VRS Quadra Sim Sport knocking 7 shades out of each other there through turn number 1. And that's the battle for 6th and 7th place. And in fact, I can tell you, Bardal Sim Racing are in 8th place now. So those two battling it out here. And really, TTL Esports have really struggled after those pit stops. That middle stint has not worked out for them. And they are now down the order, down in 6th place. So what we'll do then, as the pit stops have taken place, we'll step aside for just one more time here. You are watching the Virtual Racing School GT iRacing World Championship Series here on iRacing Live, brought to you by RaceSpot TV. Don't go anywhere, you don't want to miss the end of this one.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Wonky! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Welcome back then to live coverage of the Virtual Racing School GT iRacing World Championship Series here on iRacing Live and Racebot TV. Paul Smith, Connery Maddock, Randy Cheneth in the commentary booth with Will Vincent running the stream here today. And well, we're into the final hour of the race, and what a race we've had for you. Good grief, it's good if you could speak today. F8 Racing G2, Logitech G in the lead of this one, now 4.4 seconds ahead of Pure Racing Team Red in second place. Team 33 in third, with Euphoria Racing fourth. Dream Factory fifth, with VRS Quanta Simsport in sixth place, but they've got pressure from behind. In fact, they've made their way past TTL Esports, Richard Hampstead, who's now down to seventh place, and Bardell Sim Racing, Nascimento, rounding out the top 8 of your field. There's a battle further down though. Jim Junior Yellow, Pure Racing Team Blue, SDK Apex, Radicals Online and Glacier North all battling it out 11th through to 15th here. And Connery, it's been action packed, and we're seeing how the effect of those newer tyres for that FA Racing G2 car able to now pull away there in the lead.
Yeah, I don't think there are any other words for this other than dominating performance so far from FA Racing G2. They just got to bring it home now for these for this last 50 minutes, and they can finally get a race win in the VRS iRacing GT World Championship Series. But behind, that is, well, that's definitely not sorted, especially for P number 3. Team 33 are currently on that final step of the podium, but we've also got drivers like, and teams like Euphoria Racing GT. You've got Dream Factory as well, that could be well within contention, and Euphoria Racing GT on those fresher tyres as well could make a big statement. Salva Talon's currently behind the wheel as P4. That exact car that I'm just talking about is catching Team 33. In fact, Simon Fagel, actually, no, it's not Simon Fagel, it's Simon Voss, still behind the wheel of that Team 33 car. A 118 flat that last time by, compared to Euphoria Racing's 117.5. Half a second taken out that ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And Euphoria Racing starting this race in 12th place. So it just goes to show how even if you don't have the best of qualifying, you can still do a relatively good job here. I mean, you look behind them, Dream Factory started 16th, are in 5th place at the moment, and Bardell 20th up to 8th. So some real gains going on in this event. And strategy and how the race has panned out for people, mistakes, has really helped them out. But Euphoria, it's really good to see them here. They're just behind a little bit of traffic ahead of them at the moment. And that's Simon Fagel in the Altus Esports car down the back straight away. That should actually be helping the BMW though, Connery, as they're heading down towards the chicane, because it's giving them a little bit of a draft, helping them just get a little bit more speed out that BMW.
Yep, exactly, and top speed is definitely what that BMW needs. Of course, it isn't as bad in a straight line as it was earlier on when it was introduced. It did get balance and performance tweaks to try and bring that up a bit. It's still the slowest GT3 car in a straight line, though, so it needs all the slipstream that it can get to make potential passes down into places like that final chicane here at Road Atlanta. But we also have the VRS Quanta Sim Sport Dream Factory TTL Esports battle going on right now for P number 5, and Dream Factory, well, it's been a fantastic performance for them so far in this event, Paul. P number 16 to P number 6 so far.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic race for them. They've made it ahead of TTL Esports of Dream Factory now, and they're looking ahead. But the problem is that VRS Quanta Sim Sport car has got fresher tyres. The car behind them has got fresher tyres as well. So Dream Factory are not going to have this easy at all today. And certainly they're trying to hold on to that 6th place. It would be a really good result for them. And they only had one top 10 so far this season, have the Dream Factory. Down in 14th place in the championship at the moment. And so definitely Dream Factory looking for a good one. Alex Q behind the wheel at the moment as they go through that final corner. Once again, that Mercedes, that big lump of an engine at the front there, that lazy sounding car. But Hampstead getting closer once again And I think now that he's getting into the swing of things, he's getting used to the feel of that car, Connery, and he's definitely started to make it work a little bit for TTL Esports.
Yeah, he has, and is trying to chase down that position over Dream Factory right now. A good half a second faster than that last time by.
Radicals have had a spin at the final corner, and that's a big incident for them. Pavel led one. And who did he collect there?
Jim
it's
Jr.
the
Black.
Williams Jim Jr. Black car. My goodness, that is a huge incident there. And it was contact. It was contact from behind for the Radicals car. And that's pushed them round into the wall. And it was the Apex car that got into the back of them. Well, Radicals and Apex, the rivals from the UK, but that's a huge T-bone. Nothing that Jim car could do to get out the way. And Connery, you just, your heart goes out to them.
Yeah, I think, we will definitely see a post-race protest from Radicals Online for that one. We might see a post-race penalty for Apex Racing UK there. There's no excuse to be following that close, touching bumpers, coming through such a difficult corner as the final corner. You just can't change your line easily through that sector. And, Jim Jr. learned that one the hard way as they tried to avoid the incident. The car is just fully loaded coming through there. It doesn't want to change its line. And it's just a passenger at that point is Sebastian Dunkel.
And they are definitely putting the pressure on here. In towards this second part of the lap now. Second and third really close together here. It's down the back straight again. In the slipstream. And Salva Talens using that slipstream, Connery, trying to get past and Alexander Voss, and he's going to look to the inside here of the chicane, and that's the position. Second place now for Euphoria Racing.
Yeah, just this drive goes from better to just absolutely flat out even better for Euphoria Racing GT. Second step on the podium right now. And does Team 33 have anything to reply with? It doesn't seem to be the case right now, given how Euphoria Racing got themselves past. And, by the fact that Euphoria Racing a second faster that last lap than Team 33, they're just on a roll.
Yeah, I do apologise. A little bit of a break in the stream there. We're fighting through technical problems all day today. We do apologise about this, but we've got 40 minutes remaining in this one, and we have got a battle for second place.
Okay, carry on, Paul.
And Voss just dropping back a little bit from Euphoria Racing there, and he is definitely struggling for pace here now in this second part. Euphoria Racing with the newer tyres, they're in for a really good result here today. Hopefully all goes well for them. And another battle further down is VRS Quanta Sim Sport and Pure Racing Team Red. It's about 0.8 of a second between them. And Matt Backham is flashing the headlights there, Connery. He's wanting past that back marker there of that Altus Esports car because he wants to get at Evo Howler.
Yeah, he does. And how much of a problem does Altus Esports make themselves here for VRS Quanta Sim Sport? They're well ahead coming through the S's, so they won't be slowing them down coming through this section up through turn number 5 now. And there's still actually a bit of pace in that Altus Esports car, but they will just pull off to the side of the racing circuit, driver's right hand side, just to let Matt Backham go. That's just a good decision there. No point in fighting with cars on the lead lap.
Absolutely. Don't get involved in that battle because you probably make a few enemies of yourself there. And Backham now is flashing the headlights. See the speed there as well. Down the back straight, in the slipstream, looking to make the move. Not there yet though. But those fresher tyres will come into play as we go further and further in towards the end of this race here. It's certainly been a challenging race for the drivers and ourselves on the broadcast as well, but thank you for sticking with us here. It has been an enthralling race. Number of cars, a high attrition rate here today, and if Randy wants to bring himself here, but yeah, high attrition rate, and it just goes to show how difficult Road Atlanta is for what looks on paper to be a relatively simple track.
Well, anyone who says that obviously hasn't looked at the track map too much, because this is, I think, probably one of the most difficult tracks in North America. It's a little bit misconceiving, because you see that long back straightaway, you might think, that you spend so much of the lap flat out, but those S's. There's not a lot of places to make little mistakes here. Whenever you make a mistake, it basically turns into a huge incident, as I think Mac Backham has pretty much glued his headlight flash button down at this point, the way he is tucked up against that Pure Racing Team red car now. Working down the back straightaway, tucked right under the rear wing. Gonna have a look down the inside is Mac, and yeah, Evo Howler, not much he can really do here on old tires. He's gonna cycle back into P5 and move back up Mac back up into P4, trying to now chase down in the last 30 or so minutes Alexander Voss in that Team 33 car, who's about 4 seconds up the road, I believe.
Yep, 3.6 seconds. So Voss on older tyres as well could end up losing this podium position to the VRS Quantum Sim Sport number 8 car. So definitely they are... this race is not over. This is going to be a bit of a grandstand finish to this one. And well, heading towards the end of this one, we started with 37 cars. Odox Motorsports, Williams Jim Jr. White, Core Sim Racing Silver, Pure Racing Team Black, Triton Racing, MSP Phoenix Racing 2. They all have officially retired. You got Blackstar Racing sat on pit road for 18 minutes, so they're out of this race pretty much. You've also got that Williams Jim Jr. Black as well, after we saw that big hit with the Radicals car. They are sat on pit road at the moment as well. So we've seen quite a number of cars sat on pit road. We've also had the Trans-Tasman Racing 94 car. They had been in the pits for close to 13 minutes previously. So too with the Thrustmaster Movano Yellow. Thrustmaster have not had a good race here today, and well, certainly been a challenging day for everybody here. Only 15 cars left on the lead lap in this race. Pure Racing Team Blue is the last car on the lead lap here. As we're heading towards the closing stages of the race, the important thing that you need to know here is that Sebastian Job is 23.7 seconds ahead of Salvas Talent, and that's F8 Racing G2 Logitech G and Euphoria Racing GT first and second. Third place, Team 33. They're about 2.7 seconds behind Euphoria Racing. So they're not completely out of it, but their lap times certainly say that they're not able to keep up. But look at the car behind them then. VRS Quantum Sim Sport, Mac Backham, 2.1 seconds behind. He was 0.6 of a second faster on that last lap. So Mac definitely got a bit between his teeth with those fresher tyres. Evo Howler has been dropping back from Mac in 5th place in this one. TCL Esports Richard Hampstead 6th place, really on board with the times, really 17.7. He's gaining on that Pure Racing Team red car. Dream Factory 7th, sorry, with Bardell Sim Racing rounding out the top 8 of this field. But Connery, everything's just calmed down at the moment. But you're looking at those battles at the moment on track. Matt Backham, that's one battle to focus on. Richard Hampstead has been slowly gaining as well on Pure Racing Team Red.
Yeah, this is just the setup for the finish now. It's just these closing gaps especially for P number 3 as well. That will be a very, very exciting one, given that VRS Grandison Sport are on the fresher tyres. The thing is, they only have about 33 minutes to make that move. We've also got, in terms of TTL Esports as well, Richard Hampstead at 118 flat last time by, compared to Evo Howler's 118.1. So TTL Esports catching at this late stage as well. Perhaps able to improve their position once we get into another 10 or 20 minutes for that battle to start becoming very, very close out there on the circuit. Another one that we have going as well is involving Bardol Sim Racing. This one's going to be with Simukube Inex Racing Yellow right now. PJ Sturgey is currently behind the wheel of that one, and Inex Racing Yellow are catching in that BMW versus the Audi.
Yep, they certainly are at the moment, and that's the battle in P8, P9 at the moment. That's the closest battle on track here. As they go down that back straightaway, they've got a Vendevil car in between them. That's the Vendevil Sim Racing white car down in 22nd place, Dakota Fripp. And if you're PJ Sturgis, you're wanting that car out the way so you get a clean run at that Bardal car of Neto Nascimento. Bardal doing a fantastic job here today. A number of teams that have done a fantastic job here today in your top 10. And certainly Bardal, Dream Factory and Euphoria all starting outside of that top 10. And they're currently in there. So 3 cars that didn't start in the top 10, all in the top 10, Randy. It's been all about how consistent you are around here and how the strategy works out for you, and the traffic as well.
Road Atlanta is definitely a circuit that prioritizes consistency. You have to be, like you said, calm. You have to be cool. I've done a lot of races here as I opening the wrong thing, and you guys get a good look of my Windows sound settings. So shout outs to that on the broadcast. But yeah, you need to run as consistent as you can. As Bardal a little bit wide here as they get ready to come off down the back straightaway. That's going to allow Inex to reel in just a little bit of time, but they still have that Vendaval car between them.
And the thing is, the blue flag rules in this series this year, it's not you have to get out of the way. It's just an advisory. It's as the iRacing first rulebook says, it's just an advisory in this series, so you don't have to get out of the way. But really, if you're in that Vendevil car, you maybe just move out ease off the throttle a little bit. Let that NX car pass, so that then they can sort themselves out, and you just keep on running your pace. And because they've got pace there in the car, it's just with the damage on their Connery, they'll just be struggling through some of these corners.
Yeah, exactly, and it's not really a case of they're in a race 4 position right now. The car behind them, actually it's not too far behind them, but it's their teammate of the Van Rossen Racing Yellow car, and First Master Urbano Red quite a bit down the road as well, so there's no reason for them to be causing a few issues for these lead lap cars right now. So we'll see how this one negotiates itself. I think if Sturgis makes an obvious move down the inside, then Dakota Fripp will give way in that case.
As well, Richard Hampstead has made his way past Pure Racing Team Red. Ivo Howler struggling with those older tyres, and well, look ahead, Mac Backham now on the tail of Alexander Voss. This is for third place, the final spot at the podium. Mac doesn't need to rush here. He's still got 29.5 minutes remaining in this race. He can be patient, make the move, and then look to see if he could catch up to that Euphoria Racing car, which is about 5 seconds ahead of these two. But through turn 5, we've seen many cars come a cropper there, and the exit keeps it in the straight line though into 6 now. This is where a little bit of extra grip will count, because on the exit of turn 7 here, it's all about the run out the corner. With fresher tyres, you've got more grip, you can get the run out there, you can carry the speed, and that's exactly what he's done there. He's using a little bit of the slipstream, not much, and he's pulling up alongside now that Team 33 car. Can't really put up much of a fight, but they're still going to go for it as they go into the chicane. And that's the job done there. Matt Backham through into the podium spots for that number 8 Coanda car. That's crucial in terms of the championship, with that Pure Racing Team Red car dropping down the order here, Randy.
Yeah, it is really, really important for them. Is a little bit of a wiggle for Mac. Not sure what that was. I don't know if that was a little bit of a thank you sent to Alexander, or if he's just having a little bit of fun as Mac Backham. They head up towards turn 3 and get ready to come streaming back down the S's. Now the question is, can VRS salvage a second place finish here? Because Salve Tollins in that U4 Racing GT car, putting in some fantastic laps. 17.4 is easily the best run they've had thus far this season, and I think Mac, I'll be honest, I don't think Mac should be able to reel that gap down and in before the end of this race.
All three of the front three have got fresh tyres, so it's just showing how taking that pit stop in this, taking those tyres in that second pit stop has worked out for those guys at the front here. That battle's still going on between Sturgis and Nascimento, and still that Van Devil car is in the way there, Connery, and you've got to keep calm, and PJ Sturgis will be keeping calm in that car there, because you've just got to wait for one opportunity. But look behind him, because that NX red car is catching up to him as well.
Yeah, PJ Sturgis knows how to keep cool. He's been involved in multiple top-level championships, even in the NASCAR side of things. So very, very multi-talented driver. He's been in this sort of situation before, so I don't think it's going to faze him. Frustrating, yes, but I don't think it's going to cause PJ to act in a way that is a bit untoward, shall we say, towards the Vanderbilt Sim Racing white car. He'll just play it patient here, and just what will happen will happen.
As that Van Devil car is still hounding that Bardal car, but the thing is, the Bardal car doesn't want that Van Devil car to get past, because that'll compromise him in his battle with the NX cars. So definitely not an ideal situation. He won't want that Van Devil car all over the back of him either, though, Randy, because it's so easy to just look in your mirrors a little bit too much, wondering what that lap traffic is doing, and before you know it, you're in a wall.
I feel like, though, if you're Bardal, even though maybe you can get a little bit distracted with that car right up your tailpipe, I'd rather have that car there, because it does give a buffer between that NX car and me. And when that NX car gets around that Vendaval car, he's going to be basically putting it right up your tailpipe anyways. So you need to be ready to have some pressure in your rear view mirror, especially if you want to run in the top 10 in a series this competitive. If you can't handle a little bit of pressure in the rear view mirror, well, that's how you end up finding the outside wall real quick.
Certainly do. Down the back straight they go once again. There's a queue of 4 cars on the 3 battling for position. As we've been mentioning, that Van Devil car, the second in queue, that's the one that is laps down here in this race. PJ Sturgis, though, as we say, he's got plenty of time. 25.5 minutes remaining in this one, and what a race it's been in the Virtual Racing School GT iRacing World Championship Series here on iRacing Live, brought to you by Racebot TV. And definitely these guys pushing it to the end. And well, they're giving it absolutely everything they can here. But I tell you what, Bardal must be thanking that. On the one hand, they'll be cursing having that lap traffic there, but on the other hand, they'll be absolutely thanking that they're there, because it's just creating a natural barrier between them and the other guys who are trying to overtake them there, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. You can see this one of multiple ways. Dakota Fripp actually gets to run off the corner of 10-7, but look, he's just going to stay behind. He's not even going to try to pass Bardal in this sort of situation, so this is a very interesting turn of events. So Vendaval, well within their right to do this, well within the right to not go for the move, and well within the right to stay ahead of lead lap cars. That's just the way the rulings are, but we can debate that one in the comments all day.
Yeah, we certainly can, but the thing is, they're keeping at pace. They're not holding up the cars behind. So, yeah, I personally would have, this is just my own personal thing, is that I would have been asking them to just get out of the way, and I'm sure that the Bardal team, the NX team might be sending a few messages the Vendevil way, just to say, would you mind, just awfully letting us by? But out at turn 5 once again, this queue of cars, nose to tail. Looking at the lap times, We're all sort of in the 18s there. Bardell 18028, Simicube Inex Racing Yellow 18003, Racing Red, Inex Racing Red 17825. So that red car is the faster of them because it has been gaining on them. And Vendevil, move out the way. Here we go then. This is the battle. It's on. All three cars did not take tyres at the last pit stop. But now we see it with the gloves off here, Andy.
It'll be interesting to see where exactly will PJ be able to pick something up here. It's good to see him having a good run after an injury running in real life last year. Suffered a concussion and spent about a year kind of rehabilitating, getting back used to things. But now that we have these drivers all lined up, it's going to be an interesting little fight here. Two of them teammates, of course, that BMW and the Ferrari we have on screen, and that Bardal Audi. The sold on NX car in this little scrap's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Three cars all battling it out for that 8th position in this race. You're not missing anything at the front. The leader has got a 24.6 second lead over second place Euphoria Racing. So you're not missing anything there. The rest of the battles in that front portion of the field, they've all sorted themselves out for the time being. So we're focusing here. 8th, 9th, 10th. Bardell, Inex Racing Yellow and Inex Racing Red. Some experienced drivers here behind the wheels of these vehicles. You've got an Audi, you've got a BMW and you've got a Ferrari. Quite the combination of cars here as well, so you'll see how the different cars suit different parts of this track here. BMW, very, as we said earlier, it's more of the safer car to set up and to drive. Audi doesn't like the curbs too much or the bumps, so it can be a little bit loose at the rear. And that Ferrari, it's just really been a bit of an all-round car, hasn't it, that Ferrari, Connery? It's not really gained in the corners, but it's not really gained down the straights either.
The thing is, the main strength of that Ferrari is, as I've mentioned before, in the slow speed corners, and there aren't that many of them around Road Atlanta. You could say that the chicane is the only slow speed section on this circuit. The rest of them are medium to high speed corners. So even though saying that, it's good to see the Ferrari doing so well up in towards the P number 10 right now. And well, we don't have that many Ferraris in this field, so that is good job for them right now. Vendaval still on the back of this train though, but I don't think they'll play any further part in this battle. But Alexei Aloma has been so quick over these past few laps, catching both cars ahead of him. Will sit in the slipstream, the double slipstream of both the cars right now. I don't think he'll dive down towards the inside here, although he is close enough to be able to. He's going to go for it. Definitely going to go for it. Alexei Aloma down towards the inside. Gets the position. Parks the car on the apex as well. PJ Steele just had to slam on the anchors to try and not run into the back of the NX Racing Red car. But the NX Racing Red, they just proved me wrong. They did go for the move and complete it.
Yeah, they certainly did make the move. But I tell you what, that was the team working together there. And they are still together, and now Alexei is looking in front of him. He wants that 8th place, and right now he, I would have said, is the stronger of the two NX cars to make that move, as you mentioned. Connery runs a little bit wide out of turn 5 there. Just half a second between them though, and Randy, it's all going to be about the exit out this corner for Alexei Aloma and getting that slipstream. Certainly is, and hopefully the rest of the broadcasters might have might not have heard that, but basically what Randy's saying is that chicane, really good addition to the track. But here we go then. Alexei looking to make the move then. Tell you what, anything that could go wrong has gone wrong today, that's for sure. As we go out of turn number 7 now, down the straight. And I'll tell you what, Connery, he's looking busy as Alexei. He's wanting to make that move sooner rather than later. And I have a feeling he's going to make a move into the chicane. And, well, straight away, Neto's going defensive.
Yeah, Nascimento defensive inside line, but Loma wrestles it away from him down towards the inside through the chicane. Wow, balls of steel move there from Inex Racing Red, and this is not done. Inex Racing Yellow also getting themselves involved in this one. This is a big win for Inex. Both those cars gain a position.
And here comes the yellow car now on his teammate. He got the run out the final corner, but he's going to back out of that one, I feel, because the teammates won't want to wreck each other towards the end of this one. We've got 17.5 minutes remaining here. And, wow, what a day it has been, and what a race for Inex. The Inex red car started in 8th, it's in 8th now, but it had issues at the start of the race, so it's had to work its way back up through the field. Meanwhile, Richard Hampstead, look at this battle, 4th place, Team 33 under pressure. Hampstead down the inside for TTL Esports GT, and through they go there. And Connery, that was a really bold move again, not quite as bold as that Inex move, but really decisive on that.
Yeah, and it needs to be decisive. You can't be in two minds about those sorts of moves. You either have to go for it or you just back out, but it's not done just yet. They were very, very close coming through turn number 1 towards 2 and that blind apex of number 3 as well. Team 33 just having to stay behind for now, and TTL Esports will look to pull themselves away. It's going to be 0.5 of a second was the advantage that last time by. I don't think Team 33 have anything to fight with, so that is going to be pin number 4 for TTL Esports.
Yeah, Team 33 with the older tyres on them, struggling to make it to the end, and that's why I think it is the better way to go through from the start, do the 2 stints on the one set of tyres to start with, and then come through with the fresher tyres towards the end. I think that's been proven for this track at least, and this race circumstances has proved that that's been the way to go with this one. Now the question is, Team 33, can they keep ahead of Evo Howler? 4.2 seconds with 15 minutes to go. They're both on older tyres as well. You would imagine that they can stay ahead of that Pure Racing Team red car, Connery, because that's going to be crucial for the championship.
Yep, it really is. Just looking at the points now, it's going to be pure. Well, coming into this race, it was Pure Racing Team Red leading the championship. Team 33 were in 3rd, so that's kind of a nice, nice little synergy with the 3s there on 246 points compared to the Pure Racing Team's 298.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
I was about to wait for someone to make that comment, but yes, indeed, Team 33, if they finish as they stand, will gain points over Pure Racing Team Red. They won't gain points over VRS Kindness one number 8 though, so we might see things just stay sort of the same near the top of the championship once this race is done, but that does set us up for a pretty close final couple of races of the season.
And well, I could tell you that heading in, we're in the start of the second half of the season now, because we've got this race here, the next round, by the way, 14th of July, the 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. What a race that'll be. So, I mean, you know, these teams will have plenty of practice around there. Of course, we had the race there last year as well. So, these guys, you know, they're going to have plenty of practice around there. Plus, a few of them will have been running practice for maybe the Spa 24 hours as well event. After that, we have got the Suzuka race, 4 hours of Suzuka. And I'll tell you what, just out of interest, Williams Jim Jr. Azuri have had an issue, and guess what? It's turn number 5. Got on the curb going into the corner. sent them off. They've managed to keep it out the wall, but that car number 21 struggling down, lost one position down to 18th place here in this one. So turn number 5 once again with another victor. But yeah, looking at the final few rounds here, we're in round 5 now. It's an 8-round championship. Spa, Suzuka, and then Silverstone to round off the championship here, Connery. There's still plenty of racing. 13 hours of racing in those 3 races.
Yeah, and that's an absolutely brilliant finish to the season. Spa, Suzuka, Silverstone. Couldn't really ask for many, better tracks than that, of course, except for maybe Le Mans as the season finale, but we can maybe get that one another day. But
Jefferson
yeah,
reverse.
I'm definitely looking at Jefferson reverse. Yeah, that'll certainly be.
I would love to see that with a full grid. Absolutely, that would be fantastic. As Inex, they are finishing their little battle between themselves, by the way. And I'm just looking further back here. Williams, Jim Jr. Yellow, they're trying to get on to the back of this group. They're about 4 seconds behind. They're on the newer tyres, but they've just not quite got the pace there. But that's because they've got Glacier North right on the coattails, putting all sorts of pressure on them in a battle there for 11th place. So those lower positions here in the top 10, the battles aren't over here yet, Conor.
Definitely are not, and once again that Venable white car is just sitting in the middle of things, just not being a nuisance. It's just being just an obstacle, a feature in this train of cars trying to battle for positions. But battle for P number 8, 9, 10, and what is going to be 11 a little bit further back on this one is still on, even though the Inex cars managed to get themselves ahead with those fantastic moves coming down into the final chicane just a couple of laps ago. They've managed to break themselves away a little bit here to Barrel Sim Racing, who are still, give credit to them, they've still had a fantastic event, P20 to P number 10 as it stands. Maybe more by the time this event ends with 28 minutes to go. But right now it's the Inex Racing teammates that might decide to have a battle.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, if they decide to have a battle, they could end up tripping over each other and costing themselves positions. That's one thing that can't afford to do here. But PJ Sturgis obviously feels that he has a little bit of the pace over his teammate, and that he's keeping the pressure on his teammate there. So obviously, no real team orders going on in this one as they're heading up through turn number 5 once again. And the car at the back of that queue running really wide out then. That was the Jim Pink car. Been a mixed day for Jim, really. It's been a mixed day for the BMWs, but hats off to... do you know what? Whilst we've got the chance, it's worth mentioning. Euphoria Racing here, Randy, if you want to make sure that your people can actually hear you. Second place in this race for a team that we've not really sort of focused on pretty much most of the race, or in most of the championship. Euphoria Racing, just to give you a little bit of information, 31st in the championship, and they're in second place in this race. What a day it's been for them.
It's going to be a season-making day for them, especially with them being a mid to tail-end pack team, particularly in the points. Typically, this group kind of coming out. I mean, this could be sort of a coming alive moment for this group. I mean, they've shown very good pace. We've seen a couple drivers on that team, particularly Agustin Canapino. He had a fantastic race, if I recall, at Bathurst. He may have gotten caught up in an incident late on, but we've seen the pace from Agustin a couple times as far as this season. And now that they're, maybe just hitting their stride and running like this, it could be a turning of a new leaf for this group. They have a lot of talent, it obviously seems like. If they can make something happen of this, they could be a GT team that is really a force to be reckoned with, and they'd be sort of coming out of left field, because Euphoria, kind of a team that, to my knowledge, no one really pays much attention to at the upper levels, upper echelons, and it'd be fantastic to see another team come alive and be competitive at the top, because that's not something we've really seen in quite a while.
Absolutely, and it's great when you see teams coming through and having this sort of event, and it's whether they can build on these types of events as well. Okay, they've made it into the championship and that it takes a lot to make it into this championship to start with. But then you're going up against a level of competition like you see each and every time we have this championship. And Connery, if you get an opportunity, you've got to take them, and then you've got to not only take them and then try and build on them for future events. Exactly, and I like the point that you brought up, that it's, as you said, it's difficult to get into this series as it is, and thanks to the guys over at V8 Online, I think that was responsible for broadcasting the qualifying series for this event. That series itself is fought absolutely tooth and nail, exactly like these guys are doing right now, except that is a series where you have to qualify into this series. So these guys all on top of their game, all very, very, very quick drivers indeed, all aliens, quote marks, as some people like to say. And aliens versus aliens, one on top right now, Seb Job and Freddie Rasmussen. Guess what? Turn 5 has claimed another victim, and it's Vendevil Sim Racing Blue, Tatsuro Hashimoto, getting all kinds of wrong, getting the tank slapper on, hitting the wall hard. Did a good job to keep out the way of everyone else. He's back up and running, but he's got some damage on that car, and that's a car that's already had one period. In fact, they're going to pull it over, I think, and call it a day. They were 11 laps down, and that's them done. And not a good day for Vendevil Racing, just generally not a good day for Vendevil Racing here, Connery. Yeah, exactly. The white car, 22nd. Vendevil Sim Racing Yellow, 23rd. Vendevil Blue, 27th. And I think there's VRS Trans-Television Racing still out there on track, so they'll lose at least one more position in this event. So it is just a day to forget completely for Vendevil Sim Racing. They just need to regroup now and just focus on the next event. Just try to forget all about this one. Well, we've still got that battling going on for 8th place between the teammates. Heading down the back straight, and PJ Sturgios, he's looking left and right behind his teammate. But at the moment, they're going to stay as they are. In terms of championship positions, really, where are... because the next blue car is in nowhere. The yellow car is really the one that's ahead of the red car in terms of the championship. So, really to try and cement yourselves with an X and try and cement the position for one team, you want that yellow car to be in front just for the championship points. But championship points difference in this position, so it's not really going to be mattering too much, will it, Randy?
No, it's not really a huge boost, but that said, every point is every point you can get. But I think for these guys, they're team orders is not something NX typically has done in the past. They're just going to be super aggressive here and probably let these two fight it out as they head down the back straightaway. I will say I'm a little surprised PJ didn't have a peak last time into the chicane, but seems to have a run and might have an opportunity this time.
Yeah, they've actually broken away a little bit from Neto Nascimento in that Bardal car, so they're able to fight it out, duke it out between themselves.
Ooh, behind.
And yeah, behind Glacier and Jim Junior Yellow battling it out for 11th place on track. And looking to the inside, and look who's behind them as well. That's the Apex car, making it 3 wide. No, it's the Vendevil car, sorry. Making it 3 wide into turn number 1. But Glacier, they've been trying to get past lap upon lap, and they finally got that job done. And speaking of jobs done, look who's behind them to put a lap on them. It's Sebastian Job, Connery.
Yep, it is. They'll have to calm down a little bit for now, just in terms of a courtesy to the race leader. Of course, it isn't enforced in terms of the rules. We've discussed that one before. And with Vendevil Sim Racing Blue, definitely the one to show us examples of that. But Jim Junior Yellow and Glacier North now are so close once again, coming down in towards turn number 7. Jim Junior Yellow outbraking themselves a little bit there, but they will sit themselves in the slipstream now, coming down the back straight And Sebastian Job, your race leader behind FA Racing G2, might just try and peel off the throttle a little bit here. Only 3 minutes 54 seconds to go, and he has a 25-second gap to the cars behind. He can just he can afford to just sit behind these guys and let these guys fight it out.
The thing is, you don't want to sit behind them too much, because if they come together, they could wipe you out. So you want to get past them ideally. You want to get past them sooner so they can have whatever accident they're going to have and not worry about it yourself. We're mentioning, in fact, there's 3 minutes remaining in this race. Ivo Howler has been gaining, although that last lap he didn't gain. He lost a bit of time on Team 33. He was within 1.3 seconds of Alexander Voss in that Pure Racing Team red car, and he's trying to make a move, but time is running out for him, and it doesn't look like that he'll get that position. So he's just going to have to maybe settle for 6th place, and that's a word that you never hear really for that Pure Racing team, and that's settling. Heading towards the end of the race here then, down the back straightaway is Sebastian Job. What a race it's been for them so far today. Heading towards the end here, and that FA Racing G2 Logitech G, they have been dominant. That's the only word that is you can really use around here, and that's dominant with their display here. There's going to be 2 more laps to go in this one as they cross the line now. The 2-minute warning has been and gone, and well, still got that battle with Inex and Bardell aren't that far behind still. They're pretty close together with them, and that battle between Glacier and Jim is still ongoing, but again that one pretty much settled as Pure Racing Team Yellow as well involved in a battle with Altus Esports. 2 Audis together on track down towards the chicane. Altus looking to the inside, a late move to the inside, and through they go. So up a position goes Altus with Simon Feigl behind the wheel. Mark Elkman losing the position there in that one. But just quickly, Connery, this has been, when we've been able to see the action, it's been one heck of a race, this one.
Yep, it has. Maybe not at the front with the FA Racing G2 dominance, but the thing is, further back through the field, there have been those storylines that go on. And if we're going to pick a team of the day, let alone a driver of the day, I think that 86 Euphoria Racing GT car, that is an immense drive from P number 12 to P number 2 for a team we don't see this far up the field. Yes, they get their occasional top 10s, but on the podium, that is just a brilliant, brilliant result for them. They should be proud.
Yeah, they certainly should be indeed. We're on to the final lap then of this race. Sebastian Job just backing it off from those back markers, as you said, Connery, just letting them fight it out amongst themselves, not getting involved in that one. There's no need to. You're on your final lap, you've got a 23-second lead, you might as well just take it a little bit easier. Don't make any mistakes on this one. You're on your final tour into turn 6 for the final time, turn 7. That FA Racing G2 Logitech G car, absolutely spotless here today. Nothing, no marks on it whatsoever. So great job from them, led from the front, from the drop of the green flag. As they head down the back straight away, we've still got battling going on in front of them. The Glacier and Trim are knocking bells out of each other into that final chicane, but through the final corner for the race win, Sebastian Job in the FA Racing G2 Logitech G car wins round 5, the 3 hours of Road Atlanta in the Virtual Racing School GTI Racing World Championship Series. We look back to second place, and what a drive it has been from this team. They started down in 12th place. They're coming around the final corner, and they're going to finish this one second place. What a result. as also third place you've got VRS Quantum Sim Sport coming through. Now Team 33 and Pure Racing Team, they're battling it out, heading in towards the chicane for the final time. Evo Howler trying to make a move on that Team 33 car. This is a battle for 5th and 6th place out of that chicane. Will Team 33 be able to hang on to it? It's Mercedes versus Audi across the line. The Alexander Voss will just get that one done there, and the Inex battle is still ongoing, and in fact it's the yellow car that's got ahead of the red one. Through the chicane they go, up and over the hill, down that plunge downhill, and it's going to be an 8th place for PJ Sturgios in that number 8, in that 8th place, number 11 car, sorry, the 10 car finishing right behind Bardal Sim Racing. It must be said, great result to finish in your top 10 here, and only 12 cars finished on the lead lap in this one. What a race, what a finish to the race. Then let's have a look then at your final race results here. And it is FA Racing G2 Logitech G who take the win from green to checker. Led all but a couple of laps when there was pit stops. They've won this one by a comfortable margin, 22.3 seconds ahead of Euphoria Racing GT. As I said, 12th to 2nd, fantastic result from them. The number 8 VRS Coanda Sim Sport car finishes 3rd, with TTL Esports GT finishing 4th place. Team 33 finished where they started, 5th place, with Pure Racing Team Red down in 6th place. Dream Factory, another team that's had a really good day, started 16th, finished this one in 7th. Simicube, Inex Racing Yellow, 8th, with the red team in 9th. Bardal Sim Racing rounding out the top 10. Glacier North 11th, and as I said, Jim Williams, Jim Jr. Yellow rounding out the top 12. They were the only cars that finished on the lead lap. SDK Apex Racing UK 13th, with VRS Quantum Sim Sport 14th. 15th for the Pure Racing Team Blue car, with Court Sim Racing Black in 16th. 17th for Radicals Online. We saw them have that incident with Apex. There'll be a little bit of discussion about that after this event. Williams Jim Jr. Zurich rounding out in 18th for Pure Racing Team Yellow 19th. 20th for Altus Esports, disappointing day for them after starting in 9th. Thrustmaster Movano Red in 21st, with 22nd Vendevil Sim Racing White. Then the rest of the cars are 2 laps or more down. You've got the Vendevil Sim Racing Yellow car, Zenith High Speed, MSP Phoenix Racing 1, Thrustmaster Movano Yellow, VRS Trans-Tasman Racing, Williams Jim Jr. Pink, Vendevil Sim Racing Blue, Williams Jim Jr. Black, Blackstar Racing, MSP Phoenix Racing 2, Triton Racing, Pure Racing Team Black, Core Sim Racing Silver, Williams Jim Jr. White, Odox Motorsports were the final ones to not finish. Wow, what a result. We'll take our breaths and we'll be right back with the post-race show here. Don't go anywhere, you're on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV.
chair of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerritt at the line.
Wow, what a broadcast that's been. It's been memorable for the right and wrong reasons, but we're here for the post-race show here in the Virtual Racing School GT iRacing World Championship Series. Round 5, the 3 hours of Road Atlanta is done and dusted. We're here for interviews, and why don't we start them with the interviews of the third place team, and that's going to be VRS Quanta Sim Sport. And Connery, you can take it away with Mac and with Mitchell when we decide to get them into the commentary booth.
Yep, I will. And well, we have the guys from the VRS Quanta Sim Sport number 8 machine. Final step on the podium, guys. I'll go to Mac first. Just a very, very good result for you guys out there on track today. How was it for you?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess, in the end. P3, just looking at it, but obviously we definitely would have liked to win. But yeah, we just didn't really prepare for these kind of conditions, and I just think we were lacking a little bit, maybe. Maybe we could have changed a little bit on the setup to suit these conditions better, because, yeah, that's something we definitely have to look at the next race, because every race so far has pretty much been this weather, apart from the Nürburgring.
Yeah, and just talk a little bit more about the conditions you faced out there today, because it was overcast, it was very cold track temperatures. How does that change how you approach the race?
Yeah, it changes everything, because if it was partly cloudy or something, I doubt we would see any double stints, and also just have to drive the car in a completely different way. It's almost like you're driving a GTE car instead of a GT3, and it's really, yeah, it's not as nice for me personally, so yeah, I would have liked a little bit warmer weather.
And we also saw a little bit of a split in the strategies as well today. And well, you guys were on the strategy of the double stint first, and then the new tires for the final stint. Did the other option just tempt you in any way, or were you set in your strategy from the very start?
No, we had options in mind really when we noticed it was overcast. So it was either going to be Michelin for the first stint, and then I would do the second and third, and I would double stint from 2 to 3. But we weren't really sure what we were going to do. We were really doubting if he wanted track position or not. So really just when Mitchell entered the pits, we decided that he was also going to do the second stint on all tires. And yeah, we went from there, of course.
Yeah, and Mitchell, of course, you had the first 2 stints to do, the bulk of this race to do. And, well, how eventful was that race start? We didn't quite catch it on the broadcast. We'll just try to forget about that one. But how was it for you out there?
It was a pretty difficult race, I would say. Just kind of like Matt touched on, we just seemed to be lacking a little bit of pace in these conditions. So, yeah, it was a bit disappointing to see us kind of miss the mark there a bit. In testing, it felt really good in the other conditions we were running in. So I think we had pretty high hopes for this race, and I think we kind of fell back a bit, and then some other mistakes from some of the other teams and drivers kind of let us climb back up. So, you know, we still made up a nice amount of points during the race. And yeah, we can't be upset about that, but you know, we'd love to win, so hopefully we can get there.
Yeah, I was about to bring that point about the points, in fact, and you do gain a good points haul over Pure Racing Team Red for this event. We'll have to do the math on whether you'll be ahead of them once all the points have been calculated for this race, but it'll certainly be very, very close and should set you up for just a fantastic battle coming into the final few races of the season. Are you looking forward to it?
Absolutely. I think we have some nice tracks coming up. Really looking forward to Spa. I love that track with these cars, so yeah, we'll have to see. You know, still want to get one of those wins. That's a nice points gain that you get from that. From first to second, it's like 20 points, and you know, could really use that. So yeah, we'll go for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be very, very close between you guys. For the final couple of races, is there anyone else you want to thank before we let you go, Mac and Mitchell?
Yeah, I just want to thank our sponsors, so Virtual Racing School, Hilltop Engineering, SimCrypt GRT, Antwerp Design, Flytech, and yeah, you guys for the broadcast, of course, and just the team for helping out this week with spotting, like Philip did, and yeah, Mitchell, of course.
Well, thank you very much, the guys from the Coanda number 8 car, finishing final step of the podium, P number 3, exactly where they started as well, so not too bad of a result for them. And I believe, Randy, you're going to have a couple of words with the TTL Esports guys finishing 4th.
Yep, I will indeed have a word with Josh Rogers and Richard Hamstead. For you guys over at TTL, strong 4th place finish today, but a couple mistakes. Probably could have been a P2 or P3 if those hadn't happened. What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
Yeah, definitely a few mistakes from myself. I mean, ultimately, I think in the end, after looking at things, I think we never really had that gap to be able to, or the gap over Mitch to be able to probably fight with Mac. But in the end, P4 probably as good as we could have expected. Yeah, I made quite a few mistakes and I was quite disappointed in myself because of that. But look, in the end, still ended up getting the result thanks to Richard's brilliant driving in that last stint.
And you guys had a brilliant open to the season, taking the win at Bathurst, but you've been a little bit flat after that. You finally had another, started to finally piece some things back together to get a strong 5th place finish here. 4th place finish here. What's come together for you guys to be able to piece it all back together like this? What's kind of changed over the last couple months and since we saw the last race at the Nürburgring?
I think we've just probably increased our effort a bit. I think we did a pretty good job on the setup for this race. Unfortunately, not quite enough to take it to the podium, but yeah, I think it's just more laps and more effort, and it's paying off.
6-hour race at Spa is the next one. You guys excited for another long race because you've won the other 6-hour race on the championship?
Yes and no. Obviously, 6-hour race really enjoyable. There's a lot more aspects that you can kind of manipulate to improve yourself, or even into yourself as well. It's a little bit more strategic in that sense, but the no part of the time, staying up to 6 a.m. is hard, but it's what we signed up for, it's what we do. But yeah, look, Spa, high-speed track, flying, lots of passing opportunities. It's really all you can ask for in a racetrack, so 6 hours around there would be mega fun.
Well, congratulations to you guys coming home in the top 5. Solid 4th place finish. Going to be a good points haul for sure. Before we let you guys go, who gets it done for you at TTL Esports?
So we've got quite a few sponsors on board at the moment. We've got AF Race Art. We got the Driver Academy, where we do some coaching and stuff. Hyper Stimulator. Down Under Graphics, they're sort of our major sponsors, as well as Asher Racing. So big thanks to those guys, and also big thanks to Matthew Trotman for all the work that he put in making setups and spotting for us tonight.
Well, there they are, 4th place runners. Australians, I think they're finally happy to kind of rebound and get themselves a good top 5 run here again, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Shame about the cricket team, but anyway, what we'll do is we'll finish off the stream here. It's been a challenging day for us all here at RaceSpot and iRacing Live, but I tell you what, we made it in the end, and we had a good race to show for it. So congratulations to your podium finishers. What a race it was for them, and well, just a few thank yous. First of all, thank you to my colleagues here, Randy Cheneth, who eventually turned up. Also, thank you to Connor and Maddock, who the best hopes of public transport weren't going to stop him from being in this broadcast. Also, thank you to Will Vincent for covering this broadcast for the first couple of parts and having to deal with a plethora of technical problems that we had today. Thanks to Istvan Bello with TrackCams22.com for the supply of the cameras. Overlay design brought to you by Andreas Werner of Andwern Designs. Development of the TiVo product by Simon Grossman from Appgeneering.com, and Lifetiming, of course, brought to you by Nick Thiessen. This has been a RaceSpot TV production for iRacing Live. The 3 hours of Road Atlanta are over, finally. Thank you very much, and goodbye.